Hello there, and welcome back to the Agostino Zinga Show with your host, Agostino Zinga, and this is episode number 834. That is 834 of the Agostino Zinga Show, coming at you live and direct from an undisclosed location somewhere within the depths of London. It is your boy, it is I, your host, with the mostest, Agostino Zinga. How you doing? Great, amazing. How am I? Good. Cannot complain. Cannot complain. I started the week pretty hard. I'm going to be talking about it later on. I'm doing Locked In November. So October is a bit of a myth. Locked In November, we go again. But I'm feeling good regardless. Had a nice, healthy lunch. You know, going to go to the gym later when I finish this particular podcast. And obviously do a stream later. All that good stuff. Arsenal lost today. Man City lost today. So I'm going to be watching Match of the Day live for the first time in a while. Because I never usually watch Match of the Day live. I usually watch it after the fact. I let it, marinate and shit. And then the next day I'll re-download it. Or I'll just stream it online or something. So I can fast through the game. Especially when we're playing. I don't want to see us playing or see other teams that I hate in the league doing well. But tonight actually, will be the first time in many a year where I'll be watching Match of the Day with my hands behind my head. My feet up high. A nice, hot, bubbling mug of tea, sipping on that and enjoying every bit of Arsenal losing away to Newcastle and of course Man City losing away to Bournemouth. I'm going to be enjoying every minute of that because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow with us against Chelsea. Who knows? We might absolutely shit the bed, so I'm going to take some slight pleasure or some brief pleasure in seeing our league rivals, our bitter rivals, fail and falter and fail and falter. Anyway, apart from that, everything else has been good in my life. Feeling good, feeling strong, ready to get this new month up and running, ready to do some cool, interesting things. And I can't wait to show some of you guys these cool, interesting things. Number one cool, interesting to talk about. We have to recap a little bit about Sober October and talk about Locked In November. As you can tell by the title of my new thing that I'm going for in November, Sober October is a bit of a myth. Not because of what you're thinking. Not because I got off the wagon and I got super high or I got drunk. That didn't happen. That's not a real problem. And to be honest, I've also realized, mentioned before in the Patreon, check the Patreon. There's a bonus episode on there at the moment, which is bonus episode number 34. I'm going to be doing a Tazs bonus show every Friday and a random show bonus every Sunday on the Patreon going forward to make sure that it's of value for those of you that subscribe to the Patreon. So make sure you subscribe to the Patreon. The link should be in the bottom of the description of this particular video or of the podcast if you're listening later, which is patreon.com/Agostino. Subscriptions are on there. Listen to it. But I did dive into it a little bit. I'm going to touch on it a bit here again. Basically, Sober October was a wash, mainly because of the output stuff. I didn't find not drinking or doing drugs, all that other stuff, no processed food or carbs hard. What I actually found was the output, like creating things, creating a blog post, creating a Substack, doing, other bits and bobs like reading, all this stuff. That was the stuff that I actually found way more difficult to do. And actually, you know what? To be completely honest, I also found hard not touching my phone before 12. There were a few times in the month where I jumped on the phone before 12 p.m. I was like, oh shit, it was like an automatic reaction. So that took a while to get out of my habit of doing that. But quitting the coffee, quitting the processed sugars, quitting the carbs, the booze, again, it's easy because, as much as a party boy I am, I don't ever have booze at home. So I need and I don't usually go out if I don't have some multivitamins, to be honest. Or if I do go out with no multivitamins, I'm going out solely for that. So I'm a little bit on and off kind of guy. But usually, if I don't have drinks at home, I'm not going out. And if I'm not going out, I'm staying in. So I found the not drinking thing super easy. So I have to thank mainly my parents, because I grew up in a household where drinking at home wasn't normal. And then when I moved out, yes, I did go a bit crazy for maybe a year. When you move out, you get your own place, and I can do what I want. I can buy all the Nutella. I can stay up until 6 a.m. You do that for like a year, but then I settled down. So the boozing thing was never a problem. I'm so thankful the drug thing is not a problem either. I wasn't like joining for anything, and I didn't get tempted at any point. And but yeah, I found the writing of the blog post, the writing of the Substack, the reading. I found all of that stuff very difficult because I've got myself into some bad habits over the last 2 years because prior, I was banging out a language learning per day, an hour. I was banging out an hour of reading. I was banging out all these type of things super easy because I had really good habits. But I think since the pandemic and being locked at home and having my job be mainly on my laptop, be mainly working from home, I've kind of got into some bad habits, which is like being too much on social media, being too much on my phone in general, and not actually doing things apart from just like, consuming content. So for this month, I'm going to rewrite all the things that I did wrong, and I've added some more things on it. So it's a really extensive list. It's a bit crazy, but for me personally, I love to put a lot of crazy stuff on there, go a bit nuts, maybe put too much on there, and then see how much I can do by the end of the month, right? I'm going in it with the obviously clear intent of doing it, but the main point of it is to test yourself and to push yourself and to show yourself, oh shit, I can actually get done way more than I think I can get done. I'm way more capable than what I think I'm capable of, and to also remind myself of how much time I'm wasting. There's so many hours in a day. I think all of us are the same. We always make excuses about, I don't have time. Yes, you do. You have time for everything, but you just make time for the things that you actually want to do. And the fact that you're not doing some things, even though it's breaking your heart, is because you don't want to do it. So you could always find a time, especially if you're someone like myself who just have a family and shit. It makes it a little bit more easy. So obviously, if you've got an actual family with real life human being children, it's a lot more difficult. But even if you got a dog, it's fucking difficult because you got to look after the thing and shit, right? So I'm lucky that I don't have one, so I can be a little bit crazy, and I don't really have a big social group. Let's be honest, I have 0 friends, apart from 2. Big up my 2 friends, you know who you are. But that makes it easy for me to just lock in, you know what I mean? And completely forget about the outside world. So, lock in November. It already started yesterday. Obviously, second day. If you listen today, I'm recording this episode on the 2nd of November, Saturday evening. Locked in November goes as follows. I am abstaining alcohol, drugs, carbs, processed sugars, and social media before 12 p.m. Now, all of those are super easy. I got through that super easy the first round. I think the hardest thing was definitely the social media, just because I just forgot. Not because I was like itching to get on socials, but I generally just forgot not to check my phone. Like the automatic response or reflex is just to grab my phone in the morning. So I have to get used to not grabbing my phone, get used to getting some sunlight, getting some vitamin D, letting my eyes actually, even though there's no sun, it's in England, I live in London for goodness sake, just see the fucking skyline, get some fresh air, maybe get some steps in, whatever it may be, but just not get all that, social media content in because there's too much. Plus, my feed as well is very toxic. I love my feed is toxic. Like, I've got public freak out, I've got like accidents, tragedies around the world and shit. Like, I've got some misery, pain, and just torment and hurt on my feed. Plus some funny stuff, but majority of that is that fashion, some sneaker stuff, but it's a lot of pain. It's a lot of misery. So I don't need to see that stuff hitting me in the face before 12 p.m. in the afternoon every day. So that's the first part. The second part of Locked in November goes as follows. Hobbies and things I would do during the whole month. Here we go. Read 2 hours per day. Now, this is going to be a lot easier because I recently got a new job, so I'll be commuting more in the mornings. I won't be working from home as much as I was previously, which is annoying, but, the good thing about it is that I'll be able to get more book reading in, because prior, when I was commuting to work, when it was prior to the pandemic, I'd get through, like, legit, no word of a lie, 6 books a month. But that's because I was traveling 30 minutes to work, back and forth. And then sometimes on the other end, when I was coming back home from work, I would purposely take the long way. So I'd get like an hour or and a half of uninterrupted book reading in. Like, I'll purposely take the bus. I'll purposely walk for a bit. I'll purposely sit in a park bench near my workplace and just read before I jump on public transport. I was that kind of, I was that much of a geek, that much of a loser, that much of a R word. So now that I'm commuting to this new job, I'll get more opportunities to do so. And obviously there'll be a lunch break also. And me, I'm not someone for the fucking ha hee hee social fucking lunch breaks. I'll go off my own like a fucking weirdo and sit next to a tree and eat my fucking salad that I made at home and obviously pull out my book. So that's going to be super easy to do. Walk minimum 3 miles per day is going to be super easy to do again. because I'm cutting out the social media, so I'll be able to get up in the morning and do that, especially prior to work, because I find that sometimes when you have like for me anyway, I feel like when it was running, because my previous role was more, I had like international hours, but now I'm gonna have like regular UK hours, like 9 to 6, 9 to 5 shit. Because I have those hours, I always feel like I have to kind of get my shit done before the workday starts. I don't want to go to work and have to like, oh, now I have to like rush home, go to the gym, read all this stuff. So I try to get stuff done in the morning. So most likely what I'll do going forward is I'll be waking up at like 5 to go for my runs and shit, or go for my workouts, just so I can get it done in the morning, so that when the evening comes around, I'm free and I'm not so like nervous or anxious about getting home quickly. And also, you know how workplaces are. If you're not around after work for drinks and stuff, it can really hamper your opportunities, or, you know, how you're seen. So sometimes it's good to just get your own personal life things done before the workday starts, so that if they do say, oh my God, there's a team meeting, there's this, someone's birthday, you don't say no. You don't be the weirdo that says no, because sometimes that can really affect. It shouldn't really, right? You should always be judged on how good you are of an employee, the work that you do, you know, whatever. But really and truly, we know that's not the truth. It's to how people, you know, respond to you, if they like you or not. And a big part of being liked, even if you don't drink or whatever, is just to be at these things, you know, just to at least be there in body and spirit. So I'm going to leave myself open and not be as weird and, you know, antisocial as I was in previous places, where I would literally like run away from people. You know, as soon as the clock strikes 6, I'd be out there and ran away like, you know, like you opened the door at a fucking cockroach infested flat or something, scattering. Continuing on, workout minimum for 1 hour per day. Easy, I do that already. 1 hour Spanish language learning on top of the reading is going to be difficult, but I'm going to try it. One DJ mix per day, again difficult, but I'm going to try it. One random show live stream per day, again very difficult, going to try it. And one Tazs per day, very difficult, going to try it. Now the live stream random show thing, I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to hold myself hostage to the time, because sometimes when I do random shows, I feel like I cheat the audience when I don't have them be like over 4 hours. It's like, oh man, these things are, you know, I'm kind of known for like sitting down and ranting about comedy for hours and hours and hours and wasting a bunch of time. And I feel like people like to see that from me. So when you're sitting down to watch my random show, I don't want you to think, oh my God, it's only an hour. Do you know what I mean? But because I want to do it like a, you know, like a marathon for the month, I'm just going to bang out as much as possible. So I'm going to do an hour, let's say a minimum per day of random show. If it goes longer, it goes longer, but that's what I'll probably end up doing. 1 hour of Tazs per day is I mean, one Tazs per day is easy. Again, that's not a biggie. I bang these out easily. Write and publish a blog per day, and write and publish a Substack per day is going to be very difficult, but I'm going to try. I'm going to split the different content. So I think the blog will be default. It's my regular blog, which is defaultgoon.wordpress.com. I think that's the URL. That would just be like, you know, random thoughts put out on the blog post. But the Substack will be a little bit more of a well thought out. It wouldn't well thought out, but it'd be a bit more of a quote unquote article. That's what I'll try and do anyway. Try and separate it that way. Let's see how long that lasts. But generally, that's what I tend to do back in the day. So that's basically what I'm going to be doing going forward to Locked In November. Again, it's very intimidating. There's a lot on there. To some people it might look impossible, but I like good impossible tasks to challenge myself, push myself, especially heading into the end of the year, especially for me too, because it's been a shit year. I'm not gonna lie. As I mentioned before on Patreon, it's been a fucking shit year. One of my worst years ever, I think, in general. Nothing too crazy to kind of, you know, bleat on about, but I'm just happy to get it over and done with. But I also want to end the year strong. I don't want to just like, you know, crawl over the line for 2024, you know, crying. I also want to get over the line very, very strong, you know? I want to get over the line locked in, if that makes any sense. So Locked In November 2024, we're doing it. I've already got a bit of an update already there. You can see obviously the Sober October findings and shit that I put there, and there's already a thread of what I did yesterday in the gym, and I'm going to go again after I finish today to get my other gym workout sorted in as well. So that'll be the thread where I update all my, you know, feelings and whatnot should be updated on there. So check me out on Twitter if you want to see that. You know, link should be in the description as well. It's my full name. You'll be able to find me. You'll be able to figure it out. You get me? Cool. Moving on. My thoughts and feelings go out to everybody in Spain, specifically Valencia, who's been affected by this devastating flood. Absolutely horrible. I covered a little bit of it in the previous podcast and previous streams, and it just gets worse and worse. I watched a previous episode of mine because I was making clips, and I saw a timestamp. No, I saw a screen that I was looking at. I think it was a couple of days ago, where it said the deaths were like 55. Then I saw another clip for another day. It says 95. And then now I'm looking at this article published by the New York Times, and they're saying that at least 205 people were killed. 205 were killed due to the flooding. Crazy. And I think this started on Monday. So since Monday, it was 50 reported, and now we're at 205. And you're thinking most likely as the cleanup process happens and whatnot, as the cleanup process continues, you're imagining that most likely they're gonna find way more bodies, which is fucking heartbreaking. Like I said previously, I've been to Spain a few times. I've got some friends who are from there and shit. And, one thing about Spanish people, Mediterranean people in general, they're very close-knit. You'd imagine in a small city like Valencia, most likely, especially in that sort of town, that Pacific town in Valencia, you'd imagine most likely a lot of people know each other. A lot of people are familiar with each other. And most likely, probably everybody, maybe even in Spain, knows somebody that knows somebody who passed away. That's how tragic this has been. Like, everybody knows somebody that this has touched or affected. So absolutely horrible. And there's now, accusations of corruption, of misuse of finances and, resources. There's all these blame games being flown around. But in general, people's lives have been completely decimated, destroyed by this flood. And it's really no fault of their own. Absolutely no fault of their own. So let's read the article courtesy of New York Times. And then we'll go through some BBC News live updates as well, where they've been covering it really, really well. Because, yeah, it's kind of hard to kind of watch all this stuff play out in real time. But let's have a kind of an overview of what they're saying here. So, the article courtesy of the New York Times says as follows. Bear with me a second as it loads. There we go. You loading? Yep, there we go. Okay, so flash floods. Bear with me a second as it loads here. There we go. Flash floods have killed at least 255 people across eastern Spain, according to Spanish authorities, after a deluge of rain in some places several months' worth fell in less than a day. The flooding, which began with heavy rain on Monday, were some of the country's deadliest in a decade. As rescuers dug through the mud to search for survivors, the death toll has expected to rise as some people are still missing, and more rain was forecast for Friday. Yeah, someone that knows, I think Dad is missing or something like that. I think I saw a message the other day. It's like, Jesus Christ. The ferocity of the flooding submerged entire villages, turned the roads into powerful rivers of mud and downpour in many areas. Videos shared online by residents and emergency services showed cars piling up as they were swept away by rushing water. Helicopter crews lifted some people trapped in neck-high waters to safety and traveled to boat to reach others who were stranded. As you can see here, there's a clip there of an old lady getting hoisted up. Where are the floods? The floods were worst in the eastern and southern Spain, including the areas that often see autumn rain. Still, residents said that they were shocked by the amount of rainfall. The vast majority of the deaths in Valencia, a coastal region that includes the city of the same name, the city of Valencia, a popular tourist destination, reported considerable damage with flooding on major roads and subway systems. The towns and villages outside Valencia were ravaged by floodwaters, leaving sodden rubble behind. Some of the hardest hit villages remain cut off and main roads and bridges still broken and inundated. In one area, Chiva, practically the year's worth of rain fell over 8 hours, according to Spain's meteorological agency. Yeah, that's the thing. Because of the flood, it's basically cut off access to loads of neighboring towns and cities who could help. They can't get in. So people are literally walking on foot to transport aid and shit, which is quite amazing. I think because they had a public holiday the other day or something, so everyone was off from work anyway. So people are literally taking aid in their hand and walking, miles and miles and miles to go and drop them off at places where people can kind of pick them up and shit. Let's continue. Flooding also swept on southern region of Andalusia, which includes the city of Seville and Malaga. On Friday, the southern western portion of the country was on high alert with the continued rain and the rain rising and risk of flooding. Did the climate change play a role? Meteorologists said that the rainfall was likely a result of the sudden cold drop, known in Spanish as the gota fria. That happens when cold air moves over the warm waters of the Mediterranean Sea, allowing for the hotter, moister air and the surface to rise quickly and to produce a robust rain clouds. A storm system pushed the moisture-rich clouds onto Spain. Estimating the influence of the climate change on a single flood event requires further analysis, but scientists have said that the global warming is making storms in many regions more intense, warmer air and floods, and areas with more air and water. Mediterranean is also getting hotter and hitting the heights of the recorded temperatures. Like, look at this. Look how the cars are piled up. This is not something that you'd see in an art exhibition at Frieze. This legitimately looks like something you'd see at the White Cube, at the Tate Modern. The way the cars are piled up. This looks like an artist installation. Like, oh my God, absolutely horrifying. So let's continue on with some other latest updates here, courtesy of the BBC. Rescue operators are deploying now soldiers to the south. Which is good news there. An update. You see loads of pictures here of people from Valencia trying to clean up the streets. I don't know if are those mops, or are they trying to pour all the mud into the drains? I'm not sure what's going on there. But Jesus Christ, look at the amount of mud. And allegedly now there's loads of like diseases also in the mud, because I'm assuming it's getting mixed in with the sewage system and all this malarkey. So there's a rows of people, I think, going out to help with gloves and rubber masks and all that malarkey. Thousands head to Valencia support, in addition to 10,000 reinforcements joining the 1,700 troops deployed earlier this week. Thousands of volunteers have arrived in Valencia to support. Young people have been coordinating and organizing cleanups on social media, with people pictured here queuing with mops and buckets to help clear the mud and the debris. Wow. Jesus Christos. What the PM saying for Spain? Pedro Sanchez is saying in total we're talking about the biggest deployment of emergency services and the army deployed in peacetime of our country. He reports that 4,800 rescues have already been made. Rescues have already been made in addition, with helping more than 30,000 people. Unfortunately, the scope of the disaster means that this is not enough. We know that the aid is taking time to reach to certain locations, that there's still garages and homes that are blocked and people are still trapped. He vows teams will work tirelessly until the aid workers reach everybody. Yeah, I guess it's the best they can do, innit? Unprecedented situation, really and truly, when you think about it. Another article here says there's anger. While the official 3-day mourning period comes to an end today, Spain is still coming to terms with the full impact of the flash flood that killed at least 211 people now reported. In Valencia, Paiporta resident Amora Estevi tells the BBC that no one is helping us. People feel abandoned. This morning, the Pedro Sanchez described the flood as the worst natural disaster ever. Hundreds of Valencia people are coming to help us. Francisco Munoz Montoro, 24, has been walking for 3 hours every day to help restore his uncle's home in Paiporta. All the main roads have been cut off for the village, which is also badly affected by the floods. He feels disappointed in the response from the local authorities and explains that his uncle's house has been badly damaged. The Spanish emergency services is really bad. We aren't getting any help. The emergency services haven't approached us to ask if we need anything. People from Valencia are doing a better job. Hundreds of people are coming. That's the thing I think that everybody's realized. I think even since the pandemic, really, I think rich people, probably even rich people have realized it. No one's ever going to help you. The government especially. You have to help yourself. This is why most likely the people of Valencia will probably sort this issue out themselves, coordinating things and cleaning things up. Like, they will get it all sorted quicker than if they were to sit on their hands and rely on the government to kind of come in and help. That's the wild thing. I think we all realized it during COVID. Like, the government ain't going to help us. They're there to help. They're there to line their own pockets, help themselves. Even in England, look at fucking Boris and them, man. They were having parties. They were raving it up. They were raving it up and having parties while some of us weren't able to see some of our extended families, members, and some of us have older family members who passed away during COVID who we couldn't go see or mourn or visit in the hospital or any kind of thing. And these guys were raving it up. They were flipping, cashing in, flipping contracts for PPP and shit, in their back pockets and stuff while we were out here hustling, struggling. So that's the really sad part about these situations. Like, the government really ain't going to help. Actually, no way, Jose. People feel abandoned. A little more from Valencia resident Alex Baker, who says that the cleanup operation has involved citizens coming in with brooms on foot. She described, oh, this is the gym as well. She describes a couple of firefighters and local police overseeing efforts yesterday. She hasn't personally seen any military help, but adds that some friends have seen Red Cross volunteers. Local citizens have set up interactive maps, websites to help coordinate help. People are asking for medicines, including antibiotics, insulin, as well as other necessities, as well as nappies and bread. People feel abandoned. The general feeling is one of solidarity, but also a bit of mistrust. People don't feel like the local government is stepping up yet. She also believes that the emergency messages which came through around 8 p.m. on Tuesday was too late, adding that towns were already flooded. Yeah, I heard this too. I read online from people that allegedly the flooding already started and was already crazy by Monday. And by the time the official alert sounded, some people already died. You know what I mean? Or some people were currently, you know, in fucking chin-high water inside their own homes and shit. Spain Prime Minister has ordered 5,000 more troops, 5,000 police officers and civil guards and Valencia's region in addition to the 1,700 additional people working on the search. God damn it. Street cars full of thick and sticky mud. Cleanup continues in Valencia. Crazy. Post-apocalyptic wouldn't even begin to describe it, a person says. The streets are full of cars, she explains, meaning the cleanup can't get fully underway. Oh yeah, because all the cars are blocking the cleanup, innit? We were climbing over motorway barriers. People were walking on motorways. She describes the thick, sticky mud as a smashed up caravan on the door of a shop. Piles of cars like toy cars. Where's all this stuff going to go? That's a good point. Where are they going to put all that shit? Even once they clean it up, who's moving all those cars? Fucking hell. I guess maybe the owners can drive them away, but I don't think so. They've probably been all water damaged, isn't it? They're probably all full of mud and shit. How are you going to get those cars to move or to start? Jesus. Woman was rescued after 3 days trapped inside. A woman has been rescued from a car after the flash floods trapped her inside the vehicle for 3 days. Martin Perez confirmed the woman was found in Benetúser, a municipality 29 minutes south of Valencia. Perez adds that she was taken to hospital. God damn. Crazy situation. Watch the underwater workers wade through flooded buildings. God damn, man. Horrific. Look at that. Look how high up that is. That's an underground car park. Look how high up the cars are. Jesus Christ, bro. I'd imagine too, there's probably a lot of looting going on too, I'd imagine, right? Because people's literal possessions are getting flooded away like safes. So there's probably in this moment of pain and suffering, people are also being robbed. I'd imagine that to be the case as well. That's a really sad part about this whole situation. Look at this. Look at that. Aerial view from the 18th of October. All green, you know, what you'd expect a regular city to look like. And then 31st, look at it. It's all turned to brown. God damn it. Tragic. Absolutely tragic. Near the pedestrian bridge crossing the Turia River in Valencia, I met Amparo Esteve. The roads to her home in Paya Porta are closed. She's preparing to walk there to help her neighbor whose flat was flooded. Amparo, sorry, that's her name. Amparo was in Paya Porta when the flood struck. My neighbors told me to run as fast as I can. The waters were flowing really fast. I was at home for 3 days with no light, no water, no phones, nothing. I couldn't call my mum to tell her that I was okay. We didn't have food, no water for drink or nothing. Amparo says that she doesn't know if it's safe to return to her home because of looters. Oh, exactly. See, I told you. At the moment, she's staying with her grandparents. No one is helping us. I've never been in a war, but this is what it feels like. I don't have any words. Yeah, whenever there's pain and suffering going on, there's always people looking to take advantage, innit? Honestly, some of the people that we live amongst, our fellow citizens, our fellow civilians are like horrible people, innit? We're all struggling and in pain, and here they are trying to loot and steal stuff. Fucking hell. Crazy situation. So thoughts and feelings go out to everybody in Valencia who's out there struggling and trying to do the good work. As you can see, courtesy of this video, you see this video of like mostly young people walking hundreds of miles to go and deliver aid to these aid stops and to help people who are clearly, you know, need it and struggling and stuff. Let this load and we can continue. Oops, it's not loading. Maybe just let's exit the page then. So yeah, big up everybody who's flipping working and struggling and striving out there, because it must be so flipping difficult. I can't imagine what these people are going through at the moment. Honestly, can't imagine it. Let's continue here. Yeah, big up everybody in the stream chat as well. Let's talk. That's us here as well. Appreciate you. I see you, Coyle. I see you, Wingus McDingus. What's the deal? Here's a video of some of the people literally walking hundreds of miles to go and drop off flipping aid, because there's no ways the cars can get close to the village or to the towns because of all the mud and the flooding and shit. So they're literally walking. Fucking crazy, man. But again, shows the community spirit, shows that everybody's looking out for each other, you know. And again, it's stuff that the government, you know, governments are slow to move anyway, but it's the sort of stuff that governments couldn't do at this type of pace anyway. Do you know what I mean? So the people coming together and helping each other is probably the best way that they're probably going to solve the situation and get a good outcome in the end, you would imagine. And then continuing on, actually, we got these really horrifying videos that I was scrolling through Twitter actually to check. Look at this video. Look at these videos, man, of people's cars, just like people sitting on top of their cars. Look at that. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. The funny thing is, I did hear from somebody, maybe I need to Google it or find out what's going on, but I remember hearing or read an article where somebody said that lived there that the emergency services people told them to get into their cars and get as far away as possible. And I was thinking to myself, if it's a flash flood and the flooding is like, you know, rainfall, sorry, whatever, right? Flash rainfall, and it's flooding very, very quickly, surely the worst place you'd want to be is your car. Because I'd imagine trying to open your door or maneuver through, you know, water that high is very, very difficult. And essentially you're going to, you know, you're going to be encased in an automobile tomb or coffin of sorts. You're probably better off just like trying to escape on foot as opposed to getting into your car. I didn't really get that advice. That advice was pretty, especially when you consider everybody's going to be trying to do the same thing. So most likely the roads are going to be blocked or going to be like, you know, it's going to be traffic everywhere. You're not going to be able to go out to leave. Most of the routes out of town are going to be blocked. So you would have thought maybe going on foot would be better. Obviously, still very dangerous. But I would think staying at home in that location is going to be hard. It's not the best idea. But I would imagine not getting in your car is also a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. Continuing on, you got more videos here. 150 people killed, the severe floods. Look how high up the water is, man. And these streets are narrow as well. You know how Spanish streets are, bro. Like, Jesus Christ. That is so much water. Look at that. Look at that. Look at how much is just streaming through an area that probably doesn't get that much water ever. Fucking hell. Absolutely tragic. So yeah, force of feelings go out to everybody out there in Valencia, Spain. Hold your head up as best as possible, you know, be there for each other, and hopefully things can turn around. Fingers crossed things can turn around. Fingers crossed things can turn around. Moving on. We're talking about this because this was on my timeline and I thought this was fucking intriguing. Super intriguing. So this is courtesy of Scuba Ryan on Twitter _Scuba Ryan _, and he posted the following. Corina Kopf has officially announced her retirement from OnlyFans. $67 million earned in 3 years. 506 photos. 33 videos. Is she the undisputed GOAT of OnlyFans? I wanted to post this because it blew my mind when I read this line. 33 videos. Because if you're not familiar, this Corina Kopf girl, I know her mostly because she hangs around with like the AMP, the FaZe Clan guys. She's essentially an OnlyFans girl, but I think she also streams, but she does OnlyFans. So again, I don't know if she plays games, but I know her from mostly hanging around with AMP and hanging around with FaZe Clan. But I've also known of her being like one of the most, she makes the most money on OnlyFans. I think it was her and the other girl, the Catch Me Outside girl. Whenever you hear people talk about, oh, OnlyFans and who makes the most money, you'd always hear of Corina Kopf and the Catch Me Outside girl. So, but I never knew that she was doing this. I never knew that she was making what she was making And in the entire 3 years of her being on OnlyFans, she has only posted 33 videos. And if you read the comments of this particular post, replies, there's a ton of people on there who are like fans of hers, who subscribe to her OnlyFans, and they're saying, we're on her OnlyFans, right? We're on her OnlyFans, but she doesn't post many videos. Like, the videos are just like racy clips that you're not going to post maybe on Instagram, but they're not like, she's not posting any stuff about her private parts. I think for the most part, you might get a nipple here and there. There's no sex on those videos. It's just like regular videos, which in my head didn't make no sense, because I always thought people on OnlyFans use OnlyFans as like a substitute of porn. So instead of watching like loads of porn, you watch specific OnlyFans people who you're fans of, and they upload, you know, pornographic material that includes videos. But I guess some girls have figured out a hack, are fucking geniuses, and they don't even post videos of them getting fucked and shit. It's just like regular content that they put on Instagram, but they instead put it on OnlyFans. That's the mad thing about it when you think about it. Because I remember they said the same thing about the Kashmir Assad girl. They said like the most racy thing that she has is like lingerie photo shoots, like with professional photographers. So she's wearing lingerie, maybe it's a little bit sheer, a little bit see-through, lacy, so you might see a little nipple pop through, right? But that's it. There's no like full shots of a jean. There's no penetration videos of her fucking some random person. It's just like tasteful adult material. And you're like, wow, these women are making this much money from just posting like regular stuff that they would have posted on Instagram for free. You have to salute. You have to salute. You have to salute and give props that they were able to amass such money, such wealth in such a short time, doing so little. Doing so little, you have to salute. There's no way you can sit here and hate on the fact that they were able to make that much money by not really putting themselves out there that much. That's fucking incredible. Maybe it's my fault as well for misunderstanding what OnlyFans is about, because when I first was aware of it, I remember it just being a place for like people who probably didn't want to work in the adult entertainment industry or whatever, right? The adult video entertainment industry. Maybe they thought like working in porn was too much, too aggressive. They didn't want to work with a pimp, too exploitative. So maybe with OnlyFans, you could kind of bring, you know, it could kind of be within your control, and you could do it at your leisure, and you could kind of record content at home with people that you trust, blah, 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 with your boyfriend, with your husband, da, 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 da. But I guess some people, like the foot people on OnlyFans who are selling feet pic like Lily Allen and shit, they're not even doing anything explicit. There's no amateur porn on there. There's nothing. There's just like, you know, tasteful, cute pictures of them out and about. Maybe there's a picture or video slideshow of them changing in some changing room somewhere. Maybe they'll leave the video on for a bit, but nothing crazy. You're not going to see a bare boob. You're not going to see a bare arse cheek. You like, you know what I mean? You'll be lucky to see like a top off. It's all going to be very tasteful. So you have to give these girls props for being able to achieve that much or to make that much money. And you also have to give her props as well for realizing this is not going to last forever. Because this money looks amazing, but you also have to imagine there's probably a lot of like, you know, reasons why she gets this money. Obviously her looks, right? She's like a conventionally attractive girl, white, blonde, a particular build, a particular age, from America, all these type of things. Maybe the first mover advantage. Maybe there's also aspects of it which I've always wondered in general. Maybe all these numbers are not real anyway. Maybe it's all fake. Maybe it's like similar to like Rumble and shit and Kick. You let people assume everybody's making crazy money on these platforms so that it makes your platform look more legit. But people aren't really making that much money, you know? So maybe there's a bit of that. Maybe she's first on the platform, so she gets all the subs. Maybe because she's blonde and hot, everyone's going to be into her. Maybe the money that she actually makes isn't actually real, and they just pump it up to kind of, because it helps them and it helps her as well, because it makes her look like she's lit, and it makes them look like they're a legit platform. That maybe is part of it, or just maybe, you know, you think about 3 years ago. What was 3 years ago? That was COVID, right? So maybe you do it at the time that you do it. The timing is great. People need content. They're bored. They're horny. They want to jack off. You start off on OnlyFans, and then you fucking blow. No pun intended. So maybe that's the reason why it gets where it gets to. But to be smart, you also have to be quite smart and wise and have some sort of foresight to be like, you know what? Even though this money's sick, and it's, you know, it's addictive, you'd imagine, and hard to maybe let go of, to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to hang it up now is a good way, because, you know, it's only going to go down from now. For sure, she's not making what she used to make year one in year three. So to be able to be like, okay, cool, let me bow out before the game bows me out is a great way to do. And to be fair as well, from what I've led to believe, I've seen some clips of fucking Fresh and Fit. I've seen some clips of whatever girls, of the girls that appear on that whatever podcast and shit. And let's be honest, like, if this was men, this would end very badly. If this was guys, if guys could earn this amount of money on OnlyFans, it would end badly, right? We'd go out, you know, we'd go out real bad, real sad. But the majority of girls I've heard speak who are involved in this type of industry, most of them have got their heads screwed on straight when it comes to making sure they invest their money well. I don't mean like in stocks or in crypto, just buying houses. Like, I think she even mentioned before, she's got a ton of houses. Like, that's the first thing I've heard people say. Like, yeah, I bought everyone a house. I bought myself a house, my sister a house, mama house, dad, like, they just buy houses. So at least, even when it ends and it finishes, you've got your house paid off. You know what I mean? You've got your house, your car paid off. Bang, 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 bang. So whatever happens after happens. But I think if guys were able to make this amount of money, I think there were some of us that would be, you know, financially clocked on and shit. But some of us would just blow all this shit on like multivitamins or like, you know, leasing cars still, you know, going on crazy holidays. But I think the majority of girls that I've seen are using these funds well, and I also have the foresight to be like, you know what? Let me bow out gracefully. I had a good run. This was fucking amazing, but it's not going to last forever. So props to her. I'm baffled as to why guys would sub to a girl who's not going to be uploading that many clips in the first place. But I guess as part of the pool, right? If you're only uploading 33, how many of those do you upload across, like, what was the frequency across 3 years? So probably the reason why people are still subbed, because there's a hope that, oh my God, maybe one day she can upload this video I'm looking forward to. But the majority of the money coming from just you posting JPEGs, you have to clap. You have to fucking clap. So big up Corina Kopf. And yeah, enjoy your retirement. And I guess her jersey will go up in the OnlyFans. Will go up in the OnlyFans Hall of Fame or something at some point. Big up her. Big up her. Continuing on, we've got this article on the BBC that was causing such drama, such furor on the fucking timeline. People were really losing their minds, pulling their hair out, reading and finding out what some people in this country earn. Because if you don't know anything about the UK, let me tell you this. We don't really talk about money, annoyingly enough. I do. I'm very open and you know, and honest about what I make and what I don't make and whatever when I go on jobs with my friends. But people in general aren't. And I think it's really bad, obviously, because you then get in a position where sometimes you don't know what people are earning, so you don't know how to negotiate if you do go get a new job, or if you try and get promotion, blah, 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 blah. So there's this weird kind of culture of like being very coy and being very private and being very shy and all this timid about your pay. But then people in general, I feel like, get taken advantage of way more here in the UK. Like, obviously, you know, there's obviously going to be some pay disparity when it comes to the genders, but I think just in roles, I've heard of people working in the same role, being, let's say, like a marketing manager for like the same similar size of a company. One person's making 30 grand a year, another person's making 100 grand a year, just because the person that made 100 grand a year knew how to negotiate their contract, knew how to negotiate during the interview, and they were giving it. And then the other person just took the 30 because they were shy about asking for more money. You know what I mean? So I feel like if people were a lot more honest and open about what they made, I think it would make the job market better for everybody. And who knows, maybe there's a route where it would maybe potentially improve the salaries that people get offered in the first place, because they know no one's willing to take the thing that you're taking just for the sake of it. They're demanding more, and it might push the fucking companies to start offering way more when it comes to salaries. But I don't think that's going to be the case, but you know, you never know. Anyway, this is the article. We earn over 100,000 together. We're not worse off after the budget. So let's go through some of the people. So this is obviously regarding the UK budget and some of the changes that will needed to come in terms of increasing taxes and shit to kind of get the economy back where it needs to be. So an overview of some people and what they're making here, right? Let's go to the person who was causing the most issue. Let's go to the person causing the most issue. The one that's causing the most issue is this woman here. So Yasmin Taylor, 31. Everyone was getting their pants in a twist about this young lady, right? Yasmin Taylor is a tech consultant. She makes 150,000 a year. Her mortgage is 1,800. She's single but has 2 children. So it goes as following. Given Yasmin's biggest outgoing is 2,600 per month on childcare, She welcomes a tripling of investments in breakfast clubs in schools across the country, as well as a rise in minimum wage, as she believes it could incentivize a lot of nursery workers to stay in the sector. And although her children will go to a private school, she's likely to face higher costs when VAT is added to the private school fees next year. She thinks it was the right decision by the Chancellor when she explained that the VAT on the private school fees would be spent that would go towards the state schools. I thought that would be quite good. Anything that helps encouraging upwards social mobility is a good thing, she says. Yasmin adding that she's from a working class background. Let's continue. So the reason why people were really pissed off about this was that they were annoyed that this lady that makes this much money was complaining or was in a situation where she was quote unquote struggling because of her childcare fees. Now, obviously the bad thing isn't what she makes, because congratulations to her for being able to, finagle a job as a tech consultant where she makes 150 grand a year. But the bad thing is that she makes that kind of money in the UK. And if I'm not mistaken, according to my brief calculations, I think in the UK, if you earn that much, the tax on it is crazy. I think she might get taxed maybe, let's say, half of her salary, her gross salary. So she's not taking home what she should be taking home. And then childcare fees in general, doesn't matter where you are in Western Europe, are always super high anyway. So she's having to spend a whole bunch of money to pay for taxes. And then she's not getting the full, monthly fee that she should be getting per month. And she's also paying a lot of it to childcare. So she's kind of getting fucked, really. And it's not really her fault in any way, shape or form. Just the fact that she lives in the UK. As I typed it in on the salary calculator, 150 grand a year should be gross income of 12,500. But because of how the taxes are here in the UK, the more you earn, I think the number is like, is it like 60 grand? I think it's 60 grand. Then you start paying like 40% tax, or maybe even higher than that. I forgot how much it is. It's really crazy amount. So because of that, her gross income should be 12,500, but instead her take home is 7,600. So you imagine that plus private school fees, so childcare fees, she says is is 2,600 per month, plus the mortgage of nearly 2,000, plus whatever the private school fees are. A lot of her money already is going just to kind of keep her kids in school and clothed and shit and fed, even though she makes that much money. It's fucking insane what it's like living in London. And the sad thing is, from what I've seen on the timeline, there's people arguing and shouting and crying about her salary. But it's like, what this does prove is that in the UK, even though jobs here don't pay well, there's proof that you can negotiate a good salary for yourself if you're of the right skill set and you're obviously in the right job area. That obviously is the key. But the main problem is here is the taxes we pay. We just pay way too much in taxes, and childcare is too much. Like, for instance, she pays 2,000 per month on childcare. Most likely, the person that looks after her kids doesn't make that much per month. That's how fucked up it is. Look how important childcare is, right? Look how vital teachers are in society, in child rearing in general, right? In kind of teaching and raising up this new generation of kids, year in, year out. But look how little they get paid. Especially childcare, I can imagine it's probably not that much. So you're paying a lot for their services, but they're not getting paid a lot. You're earning a lot to pay for it, but then you're also getting taxed a lot, which is not leaving you with a lot of money to actually enjoy yourself with. It's fucking crazy, honestly. Living in the UK is a constant or living in London in general makes you constantly want to question everything about your fucking life. So let's continue. Another one. This is really sad. Big up Luke Coleman, 23 years old. He works as an apprentice. He makes 22,000 a year. He pays his parents £200 per month. He says as follows. He works full-time Monday to Friday and goes to college 1 day per month, which is fucking great. Big up him for doing so. Lucan lives in Newsbury with his parents and pays £200 per month in rent. While he pays his own bills, he cannot afford to move out. The average rent where I live is £700 to £900 per month. If I did move out, I'd have to move out further away, so I'd need a car, more money. So as somebody nearing his mid-20s, he says it can feel like you're not achieving much when you're still living at home. It's a mental health thing. Money-wise, apprenticeships are paid less because you are learning on the job, but it can make you feel less about yourself when you're not fully independent. The Chancellor confirmed that the minimum hourly pay rate for apprentices will go up in April, which Lucan says broadly speaking is a good thing, but apprentices due in December, so the changes won't affect him. When his apprenticeship ends, he's hoping to keep kept on by his company, but is open to other opportunities. The mad thing is, this guy's white. So he lives in a home, in a culture and society where it's okay to stay at home that long anyway, in general. And they probably have the means to look after him, to help him out with certain things. When you come from an immigrant household, it's even harder because sometimes living at home, you are sometimes contributing a large part to the, to the bills and to the expenses and shit, because maybe your parents don't work or they can't work and shit. So you're basically helping to look after the home, but you're also not able to save because you're looking after the home and looking after your parents. So you've got double outgoings happening at the same time. But could you just imagine how he must feel? You're at that age where you kind of, you're kind of growing up. You want to have your own independence. You want to do your own thing, but you can't really because you just don't have the money, and you can't save for it because there's no money to be saved because you're paying most of that money, for your petrol, for whatever your monthly costs are and shit. So it just feels like you're just caught in this hamster wheel. Really, it's fucking horrible. Let's see another one here that I thought was interesting. Where is she? There we go. Nicole Healing, unable to work. She makes 33,000 in benefits. Her rent is 1,250. Nicole receives employment and support allowances of 1,042. She includes a severe disability premium, personal independent pay of 798, and a housing benefit of 971. In the budget, the Chancellor said that there will be a widespread review of health and disability benefits. Nicole said it's very concerning because you're going to proviso that if I have mobility issues, that you can just work from home. That's very oversimplified. There are lots of reasons why you might have mobility issues that might impede your ability to work. Nicole believes a different approach is needed. You have to incentivize employers to make accommodations for people, whether it's flexible working or getting the right items you need. The government says is invest. Well, invest in the people and the businesses so you're going to be more productive. So this is people who are disabled, who are unable to work, who are basically saying, hey, even though I'm making a decent amount on benefits, I don't want to be on benefits. I actually want to work, but you have to make it, wherever you have to make it easy as possible for me to do so. Whether it means, installing certain things at home, whether it means making the workplace, be able to accommodate people with disabilities, but they still don't want to do that. So it's caught in a weird situation where you kind of want to get off benefits, but then the job market isn't really allowing you to do so either. So it's fucking crazy. And then we got this person here who's somebody who they discovered has a very interesting, side hustle. My pension is 1,200 per month. This budget won't change anything for me. Alana Lamb from Torquay is an Army and Navy veteran and a retired social worker. She's a couple pounds over the threshold of pension credit, so she will not get the winter fuel payment this year. So yeah, crazy situation all around. But what it does show in the UK is that for some reason we hate it when people make a lot of money. We judge them, I think harshly, and we don't obviously, we don't kind of factor in the fact that they still live in the same city that we do. They still live in the same country that we do. So whatever bills that they have, you'd imagine whatever their outgoings are exponentially way more than if we are, maybe not earning as much as them. And everything still costs as much. Like this lady makes 150,000, but doesn't take £150,000 per month home with her, and still has to pay a lot to child support. And it seems like she's supporting the kids by herself. The dad is nowhere to be found, so he's not helping out with the payments to kind of offset some of the fees. So it's a lot of money people are spending on a daily basis, man. It's fucking crazy. But yeah, big up everybody hanging in there. Big up everybody hanging in there. Let's continue. What are you guys saying in the stream chat before I continue? MJ's on OF. AZ feet pics on Patreon incoming. Look, big up Jordan Ray. Big up Jordan Ray. Never. That's never happening. Number one, no one wants to see my feet, right? Number one, no one wants to or should see my feet. Number two, no. That's it. No one should want to see my feet. And number two, no. And for some reason, I just don't think OnlyFans works the same for men as it does for women. I'm sure there's some guys out there who make a lot. I've heard that the gay guys are the ones that, kill on there for the most part. But I'd imagine there's probably still a ceiling on that. I just think, I don't know. I just don't think it works that well for men. I think it's a women thing. They're the ones killing it. And even now, they're probably not killing it as much as they were in the past. I'm pretty sure, that whole game has been kind of overrun. People are, have rinsed it too much. And it's probably overcrowded as well, which is probably, and there's probably a ton of other platforms too. I bet OnlyFans isn't the only one. There's probably loads of other subscription type adult content platforms that are out there trying to get people to join, trying to get people to subscribe. It's a hard game, man. Subscriptions are a hard game. Hard game to get going. So I can imagine, it must be super. Imagine how demoralizing it is for a woman, buying sexy lingerie, doing photos in your bedroom, which might make you feel a little bit embarrassed and shy, taking pictures of yourself in, weird positions and shit, and making like £50 a month. Like, ugh, that's got to be tough. Anyway, continuing on. We got this one we talk about. Just talking about, how crazy it is to live in London and just the randomness you see. So this is on the Bethnal Green platform of the Central Line here in London, East London to Pacific, or, East of Central London. And I think this is the train in the morning, right? Or at night. No, it's at night, sorry. It's at 10 minutes past 12, right? And it features two people, a couple, it looks like, sitting on the edge of the platform. The girl is literally standing on the tracks, and the guy is like sitting on the edge of the platform as if he's like sitting, at the beach or something, or by a lake. It's fucking insane. But what you can also notice from this video, not one single person on the platform. Many of them are on their bench, on the benches. Many of them are probably standing waiting for the train. Not a single person goes over and says something to them. They just leave them, let them be. That's what London is like. I think it's similar shit you see in New York. People just mind their own business. If you're doing some foolishness, if you're putting yourself in harm's way, if you're being an absolute redact, no one's going to step in and try and save you. You know what I mean? You're clearly doing this because you want to do it. Cool. I've got places to be. The fucking train ticket is super expensive. I'm not going to waste my time trying to save you when I have to save the money I need to save to kind of pay for this ticket. I've got places to go. I hate being in the underground, hate my life, hate this, hate that, whatever. I don't care. So if you end up getting turned into fucking pate because you're on the fucking platform when the train comes, that's on you. I'll wait for the next one. But no one's going to come over and tell you, hey, not a good idea. Most likely these people aren't even from here. They're probably foreigners anyway. But it's just hilarious how nobody on that platform is even intimating or going over and saying anything. There's no announcement on the loudspeaker because they've got cameras there. No one in the control area is talking to them. No one's saying anything. It's just okay. Let them stand there. Cool. When the line gets activated and this girl gets fried, or when the train comes and smashes them into different pieces, then they'll understand and learn. By that time, it'll be too late. But in this particular instance, we're not going to say anything. We're not going to do anything. We're going to let them just do their thing. And what happens is going to happen. I absolutely love that. This is my city. I love it. I love it. I flipping love it. Big up my city. Big up London town. Big up my city. I freaking love it. I saw it earlier today and I was absolutely chuckling when I was on the timeline. So big up those people. Big up those people. Continuing on, we got this clip to play, which features Elliott Wilson dropping some very interesting exclusive information and update regarding the beef between Drake and Kendrick. In this particular update, Elliott Wilson alleges that Drake and Future had made up behind the scenes. Now, this is obviously piggybacking off of what Young Thug said. Young Thug, during his trial, tweeted out that basically the game is not the same without Drake, Future, and Travis, I think, linking back up and making music. And obviously, since he's been in prison or since he's been on trial for his RICO case, all sorts of mans has gone on. Essentially, the whole industry turned on Drake and decided he was, no good. He was number one enemy, and they all kind of pallied up with Kendrick in order to destroy him and bring him down. Obviously, it didn't work because Drake is who he is, even though he lost the battle. His career hasn't really suffered that much off the back of it. But it's been sad to see some of his relationships with, artists that he clearly had a lot of love for fall by the wayside because they decided to clear with Kendrick. Now, the Drake and Future beef, I don't think is really as deep as maybe his one with like The Weeknd, Metro Boomin, or Kendrick or anyone else. I think it was just one of those things like, oh, I'm friends with Metro. Metro doesn't fuck with you. I don't fuck with you either type of thing. But considering how hard they went in the paint, considering the tunes, considering the things that were said, innuendos, we don't trust you, all these records, if I was Drake, I wouldn't be so quick to forgive someone like a Future. Even though we don't really have beef, the way it played out, I'm going to be looking at you funny because it did look like they were trying to take him out. Like, we don't want Drake to be a thing anymore. We want you to be over. We basically want to take food out your kids' mouths and shit. You know, put your mum out on the streets. No homes anymore for her. So if I was him, I would not be so quick to forgive. But everyone's different. So let's play the clip of Elliott Wilson saying that Drake and Future have made up behind the scenes, allegedly.
Drake and Future gotten on the phone and they resolved their difference.
Wait.
Drake and Future.
What a time to be alive. We're back.
A good authority. Drake and Future have at least gotten on the phone and resolved their differences. So I don't know what that means. Obviously, we saw Young Thug. Young Thug from prison, incarcerated, put out the energy of, hey guys, let's get it back going. So I think that helped the energy when Future reposted it.
Yeah.
So I know they did. All I can really say is they got on the phone and whatever seemed to be the issues, they seem to come to a place of resolving that. Metro not included. There's no trust there still with Metro, but I do believe that Drake and Future are back on the same page. What the reveal will be, I don't know, but probably with the music, I would think. When it's time, like, do we get a Drake party album? Does Drake come out with a single with Future? Does Future come out with Future? I didn't get another Future album, but he's crazy. He might do another album. You never know. So I think he comes back out through the music, but I think it's very interesting that, you know, the guy was part of this trust movement, trust you, still don't trust you. But, you know, obviously we know Drake and Future have so much history. Drake obviously was one saying he didn't really know, we never really met Drew. He got the likes of all the taps of all the B20. So it makes sense in some capacity. But yeah, all I know is that I can say with my chest, and people may deny it, but I heard very clearly that they got on the phone at least, and they're in a different place. Wow. Future, so.
Now, off the bat, I'm not going to believe Elliott Wilson because he's no good with Drake either. I've never been the biggest fan of him. I think he's a fucking dork and a dweeb and a real embarrassment. He's the type of person who, at that age, you look at him, you're like, you know what? I really do hope when I'm old and grey, I don't end up being as lame as Elliott Wilson. Like, he really has struggled to adapt or to accept his position in media at the moment. He tried to hate on all the young kids coming up. He questioned their credentials as hip hop journalists when they're not even trying to be hip hop journalists. He's bitter. He's hateful. He's just a really annoying dude in general. Just because he's not, maybe what he once was many years ago. But time moves on. It kind of is what it is. He should be more of an elder statesman, mentoring and guiding some of these young kids, and maybe kind of teaching them and kind of opening doors, or holding the door ajar, or giving them whatever jewels and tips that he's learned over the years. But instead, he's one of those kind of bitter, hateful type of dudes who thinks he's deserving of things just because he's old and grey and shit. So I will take what he has to say with a pinch of salt, because I don't think he's really that tapped in with anybody on either camp. I don't think they trust him like that anyway. But that's what he said. Now, on paper, it would make sense between Drake and Future because, like I said, I don't really think they've got that deep of an issue compared to him and Metro. I think him and Metro is not, I don't think they're piecing up anytime soon. I don't think him and Weeknd are piecing up anytime soon, because that's like a beef from like Canada and Toronto scene and shit. That's like that's been going on for ages. They've been off and on for time, so I don't think that's going to come back anytime soon. And obviously Kendrick, it's obviously beef with him as well. I don't think they're going to fight if they ever saw each other in real life. But I think the Kendrick stuff is like, yeah, we can never be friends, especially based on the stuff that Kendrick has said about Drake as well. But I was always dubious about this rumor, and when it was kind of put out there, I really was. I didn't think it was true, especially because of the source. I just think Elliott Wilson isn't someone that I would say is trustworthy in this particular scenario, just because of how he's been kind of left out in the lurch with a lot of things, because of how he acts and his temperament and shit. So it's been good to see DJ Akademiks actually clear it up on his particular stream earlier on today. He jumped on his stream and he had cleared it up, and he said he's spoken to people on either side of the camps, in terms of Future and Drake, and no sort of peace up is happening. Now, I'm sure that retweet that Future did of Young Thug's tweet has helped to maybe let Drake know that, hey, it's not beef and we're cool, it's not that deep, we can kind of get back on good terms. But it's going to take a while. A lot of egos were bruised, a lot of things were said, pride was hurt. So I don't doubt that there will be a time where most likely these guys will be friends again. As a fan, right, as a fucking hardcore fan of Drake, it's annoying, because I think if it was me, I wouldn't forgive any of these guys, right? But it's industry shit. You got to be professional, you got to be mature, you got to move on for yourself, not take these things too seriously or personally. But I think if I was in Drake's position and what happened, I would not be as forgiving as he is. But it seems like You know, Drake is a genuinely good guy. It seems like maybe it's a Canadian in him. And he does seem to be somebody who doesn't mind to, let bygones be bygones. Like, look how many times he's fallen, in and out of being cool with fucking Kanye. And Kanye says some mad shit about him too. So they say mad shit about each other, but still, you can see Drake has the capacity to be like, chill. It probably helps because he's number one. You can be forgiven when you're the top dog. But I feel like the other guys definitely wouldn't do the same if they're in their position. But regardless, this is the update from Akademiks talking about, or basically debunking Elliott Wilson's claim that they are now all cool again.
Spoken to extremely credible sources on both sides, and Drake and Future has not been on the phone.
Let me pull up the volume a bit. Bear with me 1 second. I think the volume's a little bit low. Let me put up a little bit. Bear with me 1 second here. Bish bash bosh. Just put it. There you go. Let's go.
Spoken to extremely credible sources on both sides, and Drake and Future has not been on the phone. So, not too sure who gave Elliott Wilson the authority to say this. But from what I hear, that is not true. That is
Akademiks gloating.
% cap. Now, I'm not gonna say Elliott Wilson is
cap artist,
contorting or misrepresenting facts, but whoever his source is, from what I've heard, whoever that source is ain't telling the right thing. So, again, I'm pretty sure he'll rock with his sources, but I think I rock with mine. Okay. And from what I've heard, that is not true. Again, only thing I call to confirm, multiple places on both sides, did Future and Drake get on the phone to resolve shit? And the answer was categorically no, that conversation has not happened.
Okay.
So just letting you know that while this sounded great and that all the media outlets have reprinted it, it's the reason why Drake hasn't commented, Future hasn't commented, because it ain't true. Okay? So
yeah, so that's basically the conclusion of that one, which is good to hear. As a Drake fan, keep these guys out. They need you more than you need them. Fuck them. Try to end your career, and look what's happening. Everybody's coming crawling back. It's a fucking crying shame. And big up Don Dot as well. Yeah, the situation with Metro Boomin is actually crazy. I forgot to get that one up actually. Metro Boomin, right? Where's it? TMZ. Yeah, there we go. That's absolutely wild. So after everything that's transpired, especially the things that Metro Boomin has alleged or has intimated about Drake and his behavior with young girls and shit and whatnot, shouting out some of those PDF bars and shit. Look at what's happened to Metro Boomin. Absolutely crazy. Karma. Metro Boomin is sued for sexual battery. Lawyer says it's pure shakedown. Sued for alleged sexual battery. Lawyer says it's a shakedown. A lawyer should say that because he's got your best interest at heart. But isn't that funny? Isn't that funny how things work out? Right? Isn't that funny how things play out? You accuse one person of being a PDF with no proof, and then you get you get sued for sexual battery from an ex-girlfriend. Crazy. It continues. Metro Boomin is facing a new lawsuit from a woman who claims that she knew and trusted a Grammy Award-winning producer before he allegedly raped her in 2016. TMZ Hip Hop obtained docs filed today by a woman named that's her name there, who claims that she was suffering from depression from the death of her 9-month-old son at the time, but he hit it off with Metro Boomin during a getaway trip in Las Vegas in the spring of that year. Vanessa claims Metro invited her to a studio to hang in Los Angeles, where she says she observed Metro abusing codeine even against the warnings of his friends. Damn. Sometime in September 2016, Vanessa says that she visited Metro at his studio and took half a Xanax pill and shot of alcohol to cope with the sadness over her son's passing weighing heavy on her mind, and claims that she soon blacked out on the couch. Oh, here we go. Classic fucking story, innit? Somebody drinks too much booze, blacks out, and then bang, advantage. Vanessa claims that she eventually regained consciousness in a bed with Metro on top of her, allegedly raping her and performing oral sex on her. After allegedly blacking out and waking up again, Vanessa says Metro appeared and informed her that she was inside a Beverly Hills hotel room and it was time to leave. She says that she has no memory of how she got there. Vanessa says that she later learned she was pregnant and claims it had to be from Metro because she hadn't had sex with anyone else. She says she ultimately terminated the pregnancy in November 2016. Vanessa also believes Metro joked about her trauma on the following year in his record Rap Saved Me, featuring 21 Savage and Offset, which includes the lyrics, "She took a Zanny, then she fainted, I'm from the gutter, ain't no changing." That's a dicey bar, isn't it? She took a Zanny, then she fainted, I'm from the gutter, ain't no changing. Huh? Que cosa? What does that mean? She's currently seeking unspecified damages for mental pain and anguish, plus punitive damages. That is a dicey case. Shaky case. Because this is 2016. This isn't like recently. So most likely, you know, and this is Metro Boomin too. You'd imagine she probably has a lot of proof, a lot of evidence of their communications and shit, and stuff that was said, maybe pictures to corroborate that they were actually together at one point. Rotted. Update. According to Metro Boomin's real name, lawyer Lawrence Hinkle II of Sanders Roberts LLP, this is a pure shakedown. These are false accusations. Mr. Wayne refused to pay her months ago and he refuses to pay her now. Mr. Wayne will defend himself in court. He will file a claim for malicious prosecutions once it prevails. Okay, I'll be curious to see if he does do that. That'll be good to see because that'll be a nice change. You know, if a guy does feel like he's being targeted or shooken down or shakedown or whatever that fucking term is, then obviously go and try and sue the person and try and get back some money in that regard. But damn. Look at how the tables have turned, eh? You accuse one person of being a PDF and then here you are being accused by a former, you know, date, link, fling, whatever, of doing some pretty heinous shit there. So let's see how that plays out. But it's not looking good. I'm just glad to see that Drake isn't piecing up with all these, you know, ex-ops and not being as forgiving as people want him to be, because I feel like these motherfuckers took advantage of that guy, man. Like that beef in general, like, was not like that's part of the reason why I feel like that beef was like so eye-opening for like how lacking in substance it was. Kendrick's beef with Drake, I understand. He told us in detail why he doesn't like the guy. Everyone else didn't have a problem with him apart from him just being number one. They only had a problem with the guy because he was number one. That's it. No other reason why they wanted to end his career, just because he's number one. It's like, so that's it. He didn't actually fuck your girl. He didn't like take money from your pocket. Like, it's just you're just fed up of him being number one. You're fed up of how much you rely on him or how much you kind of need him. Like, it kind of annoys you. That's the only reason why, really. Jesus Christ, man. These fucking people. But hey, what do I know? Absolutely nada. I don't know absolutely anything. So let's continue on here. Bear with me a second as I get this to load. So I want to talk about this in particular regarding Rhuigi Villasenor, the founder of RHUDE. What an absolute come up. From last year, or I don't know what year that was, from being accused of essentially scamming his own company, stealing funds from his own company to fund his lavish lifestyle of Hermes bags and private jets and, you know, shoes with no heels or shoes with no backs, and, you know, loafers and with no socks and shiny bits of jewelry and, you know, random nondescript Caucasian women lying on hampers and lounge chairs and shit. That lifestyle that he posts on Instagram that people love to see and shit, right? The life of a suave, playboy Renaissance man type of thing. His former partner in RHUDE alleged that he was basically living that way because he was siphoning off the funds from the company to do so. So I think his ex-founder, ex-partner, co-founder of the brand ended up suing him. I'm not too sure what the details are of that case at the moment. I'm not sure if they've settled or anything, but I remember that being a big story that I covered on the podcast at one time. Well, now look at the come up. He's still got RHUDE. He's still presenting at fashion weeks. He's still, you know, paid up, still, you know, doing his clothes, posting all the, motivational luxurious living clips on Twitter and Instagram. And now he's got a new gig, a pretty sick gig. This is courtesy of Como press release. It says Rhuigi Villasenor steps in as a chief brand officer for Como 1907, expanding the club's influence beyond football. So as you know, Como is the club that's recently promoted to Serie A in Italy. They're a football club, and Villasenor Rhuigi will be acting as a chief brand officer, creative director, quote unquote, of the football club. Absolutely incredible, especially when you consider again all the allegations about him scamming and shit. So it says as follows: Rhuigi Villasenor, the creative director and founder of globally recognized luxury streetwear brand RHUDE, has officially been named as chief brand officer of Como 1907 Football Club. Its growing portfolio of fashion, consumer goods, and travel businesses. Villasenor's task: disrupt the traditional landscapes and bring in bold innovation to the Como brand, not only in football but across fashion, lifestyle, and culture. The vision is to create a global powerhouse that transcends sports, shaping trends in fashion, hospitality, and consumer goods, and redefining how a brand rooted in a unique location of Lake Como can influence multiple industries. Fucking sick. And I've never actually heard of somebody being a creative director of a football club. It makes a lot of sense, especially a brand, especially a club like Como being where it's at and stuff. You would imagine a lot of it is kind of aspirational worth, based kind of branding itself, and just the landscape, the scenery, and everything about that place would be amazing. But could you imagine how cool it would be to be designing, like, I don't know, training kits, merch for the club, souvenirs, little trinkets that they sell in the gift shop, and other bits and bobs, and maybe just the entire branding of the club itself, like, designing, the wrap around the private jets, the seat designs, the VIP lounges, all these type of things could be so cool. Like, I would probably, if I was a designer, I would take being the creative director of a football club. This is a far interesting and far more challenging, thing to do than being a creative director of a brand. You kind of know where to go with that, with the store, with the brand itself, activations, lookbooks, blah blah, collaborations. But I think with a football club, trying to kind of redefine what that looks like, and put a different spin on it. Maybe there's a separation between sports performance design and like casual streetwear, quote unquote, design. Maybe there's an opportunity where you get to design that whole collection of the quote-unquote casual wear. Maybe you present it during Petty, you present it during fucking Paris Fashion Week, whatever. That'd be such a cool way to kind of elevate things, especially nowadays where, jerseys, especially football club jerseys, have become such a, big trend. You can only see, there's no limit to the possibilities of having different versions, different collaborations, different styles, all kind of, with the kind of Como branding as well. I fucking love it. It continues. Known for his unique ability to merge streetwear and high-end design, Villasenor will bring a fresh perspective to the club, which is currently experiencing a renaissance. As Como 1907 returns to Serie A for the first time in 21 years, the club is also becoming a cultural hotspot, with celebrities, tastemakers, and regularly attending matches as the Lakefront Stadium, which boasts one of the most scenic settings in world football. Yeah, the stadium itself is fucking gorgeous, isn't it? Let's see it. Let's see Como 1907 Stadium. It legitimately looks over the lake and shit. It's fucking gorgeous. So can you just imagine the kind of things that they're gonna be able to do? Flying in certain celebrities, certain activations, certain events, concerts, whatever they could do. Like, look at that. Look at how gorgeous that shit looks. That is crazy. People can literally like park their boat and walk straight into the stadium, or maybe take a helicopter in as well. That's fucking sick. That is so fucking beautiful. Where it's at, like, absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, so big up what you call it, Rhuigi. That's a fucking great fucking gig. You cannot lie about that one. So it continues here. It says here, his quote: "I've always been drawn to places that have such a rich sense of history and style, and Lake Como is exactly that." Back off. You've always been drawn to places where very rich people hang out. Rhuigi's got that kind of, he's got those type of dudes, and he loves hanging around people like who have got P. That gets him going, which is nice as well. That kind of lifestyle, being around like actually legitimately wealthy people whose net worth is like in the many billions. So what better place to be around those type of people than somewhere like Lake Como? Since my first visit here in he's been going to Lake Como since 2016. I can't even pronounce it. I don't even know what it fucking look. I don't even know what I mean. I don't even know where it is on the map. This nigga's been going there since 2016. I found inspiration in his beauty, and now I'm excited to help shape the future of Como 1907, blending fashion, football, and lifestyle in a way that feels effortless. As Chief Brand Officer, Rhuigi Villasenor will lead the development of the multiple fashion lines and products, leveraging the club and the distinctive allure of Lake Como region. His role encompasses overseeing the creative direction and brand strategy of a range of consumer goods, lifestyle ventures, helping to position Como as more than just a sports club, but as a global destination for fashion, culture, and hospitality. Villasenor's expertise will unify the club's identity across various sectors, shaping its evolution into a holistic lifestyle brand. What else? Are they going to have retreats? They might have nightclubs, you're assuming? They might have a hotel. He might be in charge of redesigning the hotel, interior, right? Bathrobes and shit, towels. This is a sick gig. Honestly, I'll take this. I'll take being the fucking chief brand officer of fucking Man United or fucking Crystal Palace over, you know, designing for Louis Vuitton and shit. Like, honestly, this is such an interesting design or such an interesting challenge to approach design wise, because it touches on so many different things that you can kind of get into, from architecture to interior design, landscaping, like so many things you can do based, you know, underneath that kind of umbrella of working for a football club. The first taste of his will be unveiled at RHUDE Spring 2025 show in the Villa de Este. That's where it comes in with the RHUDE. See, this is where having your own brand helps, doing your own thing, because that's what they want him for. They saw what he did at RHUDE, they saw what he does at RHUDE, and they want a bit of that magic sprinkled on what they're doing. So he's going to show some of the work at RHUDE as well, not at their own show. So where the co-branded gear like Lago de Como rugby tops and ball caps give a preview of what's to come. This is more than just slapping a logo on a jersey. We're building a lifestyle, something bigger, he adds. Mirwan Surwasu, president of Como 1907, official representative of the ownership group, commented and said, "We're excited to see how the leadership will shape the future for Como, the global stage. Our vision is to elevate Como into a brand that inspires influences across industries, and we are excited to work with Rhuigi as the club's reach the global." Cool. So yeah, really, really amazing stuff. And obviously it's been covered in WWD as well, same sort of thing as you can see here. And it also says he's going to be a minority owner too. So he's not only a chief brand officer, he's also a minority owner in the club. I'm not sure if that's part of the deal or it's something he negotiated himself, but that's fucking sick. Again, imagine this guy was getting sued by his former partner of RHUDE for stealing company funds, somehow bounced back like nothing happened. I think the first show that he did actually after the scandal, he played, what's that song? He played some Tupac song. Like something, I forgot the title. Like one of those songs where it's like, guess who's back? You know what I mean? Like you can't keep it, whatever. As the theme song for the show. That's fucking hilarious. So it shows that he can don't take himself too seriously. But yeah, man. Like that guy that's suing him must be spitting feathers. He must be so pissed. Like the guy just keeps on winning. He keeps on fucking winning. And he's also going to be a co-owner in the football club. Can you imagine? So here's some of the stuff already. We got here some pieces. RHUDE and Como 1907 pieces for the RHUDE Spring 2025 collection. You got some stuff already there that's been influenced, I guess, by hanging out over there in Lake Como. And I guess a lot of this stuff as well, it's not for me, this type of fashion, this type of style. But I guess once you go to those type of places, you go to Monaco's, you go to Lake Como's, you see people who wear this sort of stuff, it all starts to make sense. That particular style of clothing, you know, because maybe that rugby top I'd wear, maybe that jacket I'd wear, but the rest of it is like, you know, especially the style of it, it's like, people are actually wearing rain jackets with no shirt underneath. But you go there and you find out, yes, of course they are, because they jump out of the sea, they want to put something on to go to a restaurant to eat and shit, some comfy trousers, always wearing flip-flops. So yeah, I'm curious to see how this evolves and develops as time goes on. I think he also may have posted something actually on his Twitter about it too that I want to check as well regarding the announcement. But it's a really cool gig by the sounds of it. It seems like a really fucking cool gig. He's even updated his bio on Twitter. Founder of RHUDE, founder of ROU by Zara, and CBO / co-owner of Como Football. That's a fucking flex. I'm not gonna lie. That is a fucking flex. So let's see what he's posted. Anything we've seen here? I stay away from people who fake cry or cry with no tears. Some updates. Got to know the rules in order to break them. What's updates have we got here? Co-owner and CBO, he says. There's a picture of him doing a Halloween outfit as Carty, I'm guessing. Kind of lame, but hey, I get it. And then there's a post here that probably, you know, says everything we need to say here. IRL v URL. So even though, you know, we've been speaking a lot about, you know, about the fucking lawsuit and shit, which is URL, in the real world, it seems like businesses just are falling over themselves to work with him. From Zara to Como, they all want a piece of Rhuigi. So let's see how it develops and it evolves. For me personally, I have to be honest and say, previous collections, or recent collections, sorry, I've not really been that impressed, man. I feel like he's kind of lost his way with RHUDE. It kind of feels a little bit uninspired. If anything, I actually liked, I was unpopular opinion, but I was actually a bigger fan of the stuff I saw him design at Bali, or Bali, however you pronounce the fucking brand, as opposed to the stuff he's doing recently at RHUDE. I've not liked it in the slightest. Some of the baseball jackets have been pretty cool, you know, but his outerwear is always pretty strong. But I think collections overall, it feels like they all kind of blend into one. They're all very forgettable. Not a lot of standout pieces that really kind of, you know, resonate, that you're going to be thinking about for a while. Loads of recycled ideas, I feel like. Nothing really fresh or new. So it's been pretty disappointing, I'm not going to lie, recently. I haven't felt like he's been really pushing himself with the RHUDE, as, you know, maybe he's got a bit comfortable. The brand probably still does bits anyway, you can imagine. I don't think I've seen a lot of people in my, maybe when you go into Central London, you don't really see a lot of people outdoors really wearing RHUDE as much as you did prior. Like, I don't really see it as much, but I'm sure there are people out there who still love that shit. But for me, it doesn't hit as much as it did in the past, I've got to be honest. It really doesn't. It kind of looks like the same as any other brand that you see out there. A lot of the same silhouettes and styles and shit. You know, again, some of the jackets I really like. I think he does a really good varsity jacket. I think something that you could always say you're always going to get with RHUDE. You're going to get a good varsity jacket, and he kills it with varsity designs. Always really good. Best cut. Sorry, Jesus Christ, my allergies are throwing up again. The cuts on the jackets are always really good, but the rest of it, I'm not really too fond on. Some of the trousers and the pants are decent enough, but I'm not really too sure how much I like the motorcycle, deep baggy denim type of look. The jerseys are a little bit lame, I'm not gonna lie. Some of the tracksuits are okay for the sake of it. The styling is a little bit all over the place. Like, you know, it feels like there's this. Whenever I look at RHUDE, I feel like there's too much fabric. If that makes any sense, I just feel like there's too much fabric. There's too much stuff. You know, things need to be a bit more simplified, maybe tucked in, tightened, maybe a little bit flatter. I don't know. It always looks a bit frumpy and full of material. I don't really like. It's never been for me to be. If anything, which is weird, I feel like Rhuigi himself dresses better than he designs. I think his own personal style is way more interesting than his actual designs. I swear it. I think the designs of his fashion collections is very, very, you know, mediocre for me. But I feel like his personal style, I'm not really too mad at. But the clothes themselves, not the greatest. There's a few stuff on here that's already, I can see is part of that, him being the CBO of the football club. I can see already with the, with some of the stuff on there, with this Lago logo, however you pronounce it, Como 27. I see some of the stuff is featured on there, like some of the pants and the rugby tops and shit. But overall, like, you know, this stuff is like look number 9. That's something that you can see in like Boho Men or something, or like in Zara. That looks like straight out of the high street. That look there with the green jersey and the basketball shorts, like that is so fucking bad. Even look number 8, like what is that? Like that jacket with those pants, with those boots or those shoes, like, you know, you got these. What are these? Like you got like leather shorts, like baggy, extra long leather shorts with like a baggy black vest with white piping. Nah, not for me, bro. Not for me. Not for me in the slightest. I can't be doing that. Not for me in the slightest. I cannot be doing that. So yeah, congratulations to him. Amazing gig, like I said previously. Amazing gig. Maybe the best one I've seen someone from a streetwear adjacent brand get recently. I think this is way more of an interesting design proposition to kind of tackle. Probably super exciting opportunity to get your teeth stuck into. and far more interested in working at Bali, for instance. You know what I mean? Well, where was he? I think he was in Switzerland somewhere, right? Maybe not the nicest, coolest place to hang out. Maybe a bit boring. At least here, you can have your fun, be around footballers and shit. That's way funner as well. You know what I mean? Imagine like going to training, watching training sessions, talking to some of the young players, coaches and shit. It's gonna be way more fun doing this than it was working for Bali, I'd imagine. So congratulations to Rhuigi. Congratulations to him. Absolutely amazing gig. Can't wait to see how it develops for him. Can't wait to see how it develops for him. So continuing on. Before I continue, let me just quickly blow my nose and we can continue here. Apologies. Okay, and we're back. Big up Don Dotto as well in the comments. What's going on, my guy, in the stream chat? Crazy that Future collaborated. Oh no, feel bad for Como. Sorry, the transfer budget is gonna get drained out by Rhuigi. Yeah, exactly true. Varane and Rude gonna go hard. Oh yeah, true. Varane's still there as well. I think they've given him a role on the board or something like that. I think, or somebody coaching. So that's really good. Even though he had to retire early due to injury, so that's a really good thing to see as well. So yeah, can't wait to see it. To be fair, it's gonna be pretty cool. See if he gets to design tracksuits and shit. That'd be pretty cool to see. Especially if he it'll be most likely they'll just tell him to design lifestyle stuff, but it'll be way cooler if he gets to design sports performance shit too. He actually gets to design the match day kits, the actual training kits that the players actually wear, as well as all the merch and stuff. Because he could probably do that with his eyes closed. But that's a interesting design challenge to get into all that sort of stuff and, you know, figure out how those materials, the processes behind making those type of things work and not work, blah 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 blah. So I'm really eager and curious to see how that evolves over time. So big up Rhuigi, big up Rhuigi, big up Rhuigi. You love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. Continuing on. So we're going to talk about the appointment, finally the appointment of Ruben Amorim as United head coach. I'm obviously over the moon because I absolutely hated and loathed Erik ten Hag. So I'm happy that chapter is finally over and we can move on. And it's also good to see this new change under Ineos. Now we're not recruiting or hiring managers. We're now recruiting, as it says here in the title, head coach. I think there's a screenshot going around that shows the announcement of when Erik ten Hag was announced as manager. And it says here clearly as manager. So clearly the new path that we're going down with this partial sporting ownership with Ineos Group is that they are taking charge of the footballing side of things and they'll only be hiring coaches to coach. So they'll be in charge of making sure the players that they have play a certain type of football, maintaining we win games, win trophies and shit, but they're not going to be worried about scouting players, signing players, identifying players, all that malarkey. That's going to be left to the people who are actually employed to do that and that know that job at the back of their hand. And it simplifies the job of the coach so that all they have to do is focus on the team. And that's what most big clubs do, but, you know, for whatever reason, mostly because we're, you know, owned by the Glazers, we didn't have that for a long time. We had people in position acting like they were the football people in charge, but in general, we didn't really have the structure to kind of really make that work. And we had a lot of people meddling. So now it seems like the sporting side of United is kind of sorted. So I'm curious to see how it works. Now, I'm still of the thinking that we're not 14th because of Erik ten Hag. We're 14th because of a collective failure across more than 2 decades. Mostly because of the Glazers. They've come and raped and pillaged my club. They don't really give a shit about what we win or how we play. They just care about, you know, extracting dividends and running off to the hills. So we've been left to kind of pick up the pieces. And obviously over the years, they've tried to get certain managers in to kind of, you know, put like a band-aid over an open wound, but that hasn't worked. And now, because football's evolved and changed since Sir Alex Ferguson has been around, you can't really win league titles or Champions Leagues and shit or big domestic cups like the FA Cup without having a structure in place. You can't. Yes, there are maverick managers, genius managers that exist who can probably win trophies at any club. I think Pep Guardiola is a good example of it now. I think if he was to go to any club in the world, he'd probably do well at anyway, regardless of money or not. But I think the era of the superstar, the genius manager like Sir Alex Ferguson coming in and be able to succeed in a club like United, despite us being owned by the Glazers and despite all the instability in the club, it doesn't exist anymore. The structure needs to exist to allow the managers to do the best job. And unfortunately, we were trying to get good managers in who could maybe work in the chaos and still make good. It didn't work. And I've always said from the beginning, I always think like United are never going to win another league title or a Champions League title under the Glazers anyway. I feel like, it just is what it is. We're cursed. Until those guys die or they sell their remaining shares and we're completely rid of them, I don't think we're ever going to win a league title or a Champions League with them as owners. Now, it could change. Now we've got this Ineos group partial ownership and they've now, have a different remit that they're working with or different kind of way that they're going to try and, run the club. That may actually help and work things, but I'm still dubious. I'm still on the fence. I'm still a bit nervous about the whole thing. Because I feel like, there's going to come a point where they're going to pull the rug from underneath our feet and we're going to be back to where we were on square one again. Because it's been so long that we've been so shit. So I feel like, I shouldn't be getting so giddy over, these appointments because it's not as if one person's going to change, what's happened the last 20 years or so. Regardless, happy we finally got him over the line. I'm also happy that it's not an interim thing. Happy we're not repeating the same mistakes we repeated with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Because there was a possibility... There was a possibility where you sack Erik ten Hag because his position is untenable. He's too shit. He's spoiling the mood. He's ruined all the transfers. No one wants to go to watch the games anymore. We're playing horrible football. He's fooling out all the players. Blah blah blah. So you fire him. I get it. But there was a possibility that in hiring an interim like Ruben van Nistelrooy, who was his assistant, to kind of step in, there was the chance that he could do well. He could get us playing Champion football again, as he did previously. We played obviously quite well in the League Cup game and won 5-2 and scored, more goals than we've ever scored in recent times. There could be a possibility that he performs well and then the fans start cheering or start clamoring for him to get the permanent contract, thus repeating the same mistakes we did with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So I'm glad to see the Ineos didn't listen to the fans, didn't go with that easy option and went, and instead fired Erik ten Hag, got Ruben in as an interim, and then immediately went for their person, who's Ruben Amorim. That's the guy they wanted. It's looking like they wanted him for the end of the season, but because the results are so bad and performances are so bad, they kind of had to kind of push that deadline forward. And they said, hey, we need your manager mid-season, which is a big fucking flex, by the way. I can't remember the last time this happened where a manager from another club has left another club mid-season. It usually doesn't happen that way, especially in the big leagues. That they usually, maybe if they come from a more obscure league, it makes sense. But for a big European league, for a manager of a big club to leave mid-season, it kind of shows the pull that these new owners have, or the sporting owners have. So that's good to see. And it kind of gets away any confusion. It allows us to kind of enjoy these games we have with RHUDE as interim for this time that we have him. And then when Ruben Amorim starts, it's a new chapter and we can go from there. And also, if I'm not mistaken, he starts during international break, which gives him a lot of time to kind of get, acquainted and acclimated with the club and, speaking to some of the players who won't be international break, etc., etc., etc. So let's read the article, courtesy of ManUnited.com. It says, Manchester United is delighted to announce the appointment of Ruben Amorim as head coach, the men's first team, and subject to work visa requirements. He will join until June 2027 with a club option, a club option of additional year once he has fulfilled his obligations of his current club. He will join Manchester United on Monday, the 11th of November. Ruben is one of the most exciting, highly rated young coaches in European football. Highly decorated as both a player and a coach. His titles include winning the Premier League twice in Portugal with Sporting Lisbon. The first of which was the club's first title in 19 years. Ruben will continue to take charge of the team until Ruben joins. So most likely it means that RHUDE will probably leave. I think Ruben's bringing his entire coaching staff, which is good too, by the way. It shows that the club are serious, because in previous times the club have been prone to telling managers that they can only bring a certain amount of their coaching staff, which is annoying, and they have to use the ones that they already have at the club. So it looks like he's bringing his entire backroom staff with him, which is going to be good, because it's going to give him the best option or the best possibility to be a success of the club. So I'm really happy about it. So big up Ruben Amorim. And then we've got a couple of other stories here to kind of cover quickly. It says Ruben Amorim here, Man United believe that they've secured their man amongst the clutch of next generation, managers. Let's quickly read this article. It says, when Sporting parted with 10 million euros to recruit head coach without a UEFA Pro license, with only 3 months of top flight experience on his CV from Braga in 2020, it was deemed absolutely insanity. The scathing reaction from the club's fans and analysts in Portugal are still stored on message boards, the internet, and after all, never forgets and paints a sharp contrast to the sentiment now that Ruben Amorim is set to leave for Manchester United. Back then, Sporting's hierarchy were ridiculed for sanctioning such a big spend of an unknown quantity. Another great day by the board, 10 million for an unlicensed manager, one sarcastic comment said. So imagine that. Sporting jacked Ruben Amorim from Braga for 10 million euros because he was doing bits. I think he took Braga from being relegation to smashing it. Yo, big up, appreciate you.
It's great to see a Manchester native loving the new changes. Hopefully he has the success of Fergie.
Yeah. Big up, high def. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, I'm not even hoping he has success like Ferguson. I just want us to play good football again. I just want to enjoy my team playing football. That's it. I'm not even bothered about, winning things. I don't care about trophies. I don't care about any of that stuff. That's why he's annoying me with fucking Eric Ten Hag and he's gaslighting. Like, we were winning trophies, but at what cost? We were playing horrible. We're stinking up the place. We're 14th, for goodness sake. You're falling out with players. You're signing all the players that you managed previously in other clubs. Your talent ID's crap. You're not developing players. Like, no. I want to see the players enjoy themselves on the pitch. I want to enjoy us playing football. And then little by little, over time, we can get back to clearing up the league and, of course, challenging for titles. But for the interim, I wanted to see him develop the players that we already have. I don't want to see him going quickly into the transfer market and buying players. We've got enough of a base there to, do some bits, maybe get us top 6 finish for the season, and then develop and kind of get us to play a certain way, see us pressing, see us defending and attacking as a team. All that stuff is I want. I'm really, really curious to see how that develops. So, big up High Def 10. I appreciate it, brother. It continues. Back then, Sporting's hierarchy were ridiculed. This week, as Manchester United sacked Eric Ten Hag and turned their speed of light to Amorim, the same figure was lightning rod for Sporting decision makers. How dare they set the fee so low for the biggest clubs in the world football to steal their special one? The 39-year-old will be priceless to United if he has to deliver what they're convinced that he has the ability to. Transformational of tactical identity, personality, proper football enjoyment. Amorim would need to pull off what those before him, even Ten Hag, whose principles at Ajax and penchant for creating a disciplined environment was heralded for, have struggled to do so. Successfully import his ideas, their authority, and their winning ways with consistency. I would actually like to hear from Eric Ten Hag why he did, because I think that's one of the major reasons why he failed. He came to United and for whatever reason, he decided to abandon how he played at Ajax for United. He didn't. Usually most top flight managers, they have their way of football, they have their style of play, they have their identity, their whatever, that they carry to each club. Whether it works or not, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Like, this is how I play. If you want to fire me for it, but I'm not going to change it. And if players can't get with the program, you ship them out, you get players who can. But for whatever reason, Eric Ten Hag did something that most top flight managers don't do. He came to United, he said, you know what? I'm going to adapt my style of play to match the players that are already available. Which I feel like was an instant, negative. Like, that put him, the reason why we got you, because we saw those amazing games with Ajax in the Champions League when he was there, their run at that time, the stuff that they were doing in their league as well. Maybe it's not the most competitive league, but still the way that they were playing, the possession base, the passing, the triangles, the transitions, the amount of goals that were scored per game. And then he comes to United, does the complete opposite. It's like, I could never understand why he did that. I'm sure there's a reason why. I'm sure there's a reason that he will explain that'll make a lot of sense. But I think if Amorim doesn't do that and does what we think he's going to do, which is implement the same style, the same approach to what he did at Braga, we did at Sporting Lisbon, and also do it at Man United, we should be blessed. We should be blessed. But if he comes in and suddenly starts to change, you're going to be like, oh my God, it's going to drive me fucking crazy. Hope it doesn't happen. Since Monday, when the Dutchman was relieved of his duties, social media has been awash with reminders that the way Amorim's coaching has been bigged up is a copy and paste of the reaction of Ten Hag's appointment as Man United manager. In fairness, the analysis on a playing style and methodology can only be drawn by what a man in the dugout has already done. It is not a guarantee this will be about to translate their approach, and that is then for them to prove. Where United have to where United would point to departures with Erik ten Hag is that the Ajax are historically dominant Eredivisie team with the biggest budget, and winning there was the norm. Amorim walked into Sporting as their 4th manager of the season, with them 20 points behind. He broke Sporting's 19-year wait for a title in his first full season, and broke into Benfica and Porto's stranglehold on the league, and had fewer resources than them doing so. So, did they won the league for the first time ever under his stewardship? They spent the less and didn't spend as much money as Benfica or Porto either. So that bodes well. That definitely bodes well. Amorim rebuilt them into a sustainable, successful side. He has illustrated the ability to maximize the tools at his disposal, developing talents every season. Amorim has not been able to not just spark individual development in his squad, but as Sporting routinely sell their star players, he has been skilled in sharp evolutions. João Palhinha, Mateus Nunes, Nuno Mendes, Pedro Porro, Manuel Ugarte, the last of which will happily be reunited at Old Trafford, were all seeded, but he continued to win. So that makes me think, right? And there's a conspiracy theory at the moment. I'm starting to believe it. I wonder if the Manuel Ugarte signing was never an Erik ten Hag signing anyway. Maybe they signed Manuel Ugarte. They made such a fuss to get him over the line because he was a Ineos signing, which also maybe explains why Erik ten Hag quickly lost patience with him. He started a couple of games, and then after that, he had a bit of a shaky one game, and Erik ten Hag benched him, and he didn't play again for a while. So maybe the reason why Erik ten Hag was so like wishy-washy on Ugarte, even though it seemed like he wanted him, was because the club signed Ugarte because they had Amorim in mind, because he worked with him at Sporting Lisbon. It continues. Amorim is charismatic, and as audiences that have only tuned into him this week will have noted, he can control the room when even when the story is out of his control. Amorim fits the reality of where Man United are. He needs to do what is already in his locker, change their fortunes under financial restrictions, unlock a massively underperforming squad, implement a progressive style, making them a dominant team, and create an aura around the club. True. And also pressing. Please, pressing. We fucking press individually. There's so many gaps. Whenever we play, and I watch us play, there's so many gaps between the defense and midfield and the strikers. It feels like whenever we're trying to score or attempt to move the ball further up the pitch, it takes us so long. It feels like with other teams that have a better style of play or have coaches that know what they're doing, the ball progresses up the pitch super quickly. Like 1 or 2 passes and the ball's already at the halfway line. With us, it's so laborious. It's like all these small passes into defenders, out in this and that, before it actually progresses up the pitch. So I'm curious to see that change. I want to see that change. And I'm also very, very, very curious to see which players he rates and doesn't rate. That's the one that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. Like, okay, cool. Right, because I'm okay to like him to change. I'm okay for him to change my mind on everybody. I'm not the biggest fan of Bruno Fernandes. I'm not the biggest fan of Harry Maguire. I'm not the biggest fan of fucking what's his face, Marcus Rashford. But if he's able to come in and develop them or play them in a particular system and get the best out of them, I'm all good for it. I'm all good to kind of change my mind on these type of guys going forward. But I'm curious to see who he identifies as players for him and players who are not for him. That's what I'm curious to see. Ugarte thrived under Amorim and should see an uptick in his output and consistency of starts. The manager will have to mine the gold from Rasmus Højlund in the same manner as he's done with Victor Gyökeres. And United are confident that the incoming new leader will make some of their mega buys actually look like good business. It is helpful that 2 of the most influential members of the squad, Bruno and Diego Dalot, the standard setters according to dressing room, are Amorim's compatriots. Yeah, but, I don't think that's going to mean anything. I think everyone's going to have to start with a blank slate. I don't think just because you're Portuguese, you're going to get a fairer shake with this manager. He also can connect with the Brazilians in the squad through language. He's excellent command of English and understands able to speak Spanish. Those that have worked with him describe him as a great communicator with simple yet impactful messaging, which is something that we're crying out for. After those years with Erik ten Hag of his, because I've heard Erik ten Hag, allegedly, according to people who in Holland, he actually can't even speak Dutch well either. He has that same way that he speaks English, where it's kind of like, it seems like he's struggling to like remember words and shit. He speaks the same way in Dutch. So it's just him as a person. He just has a bad, way of communicating, or he's just awkward or clumsy, whatever it may be. But that way of speaking in press conferences is annoying. the insistence on just repeating trophies was driving me fucking up the wall. So it's gonna be a quite refreshing to actually watch press conferences again of United managers and not feel gaslit and not feel like you're being manipulated or bullied or made to feel like you're crazy. You know, from Mourinho to Oli at the end of it, to even with, you know, Eric Ten Hag, press conferences watching. Well, I never watched them because they drive you fucking crazy. So I'm, you know, excited to watch them again. Even though I did watch Rouge's interviews as well, he came across really well. So, and I'm sure the players as well will like it, because it wasn't lost on me how happy the players looked ahead of the game in the League Cup the other day against Leicester. They looked so fucking happy. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that, you know, Eric Ten Hag probably wasn't that well liked. Communication wise, they knew what was going on. Ruud speaks great English and comes across like a charismatic dude. So I think that's very important, especially now in the modern era, you know, communication with your players, or getting them to buy into your vision, getting them to buy into the way you want to, you know, build a team. The long-term plan, blah, 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 is super important. Amorim will need that at United, where the global glare will be unlike anything he's known. Ten Hag was brilliant away from the cameras, and when he didn't need to be in defensive mode, and engaging a warm man who generally loved and wanted to fight on all costs for United. We don't give a fuck. He never actually succeeded in relaying the extent of verbalizing the scale of the mess he inherited and had to navigate during his time of change. Again, that's his fault. No one cares. Performances and results were nowhere near as good enough, and stretching all the way back to the League Cup final triumph over Newcastle, but Ten Hag has some wins beyond the silverware, actually enforcing discipline at the club, badly needed, and riding some hideous storms with dignity. Amorim will not have to deal with the same amount of challenges as his authority as his predecessor cleared out many of the problems. He will not need to be on trial during a takeover process that lags, or nor hopefully deal with the kind of off-the-pitch instances that colour Ten Hag's time. So yeah, I'm curious to see how it ends, man. I really am curious to see how it goes, but I'm really excited. He seems like an interesting coach. And yeah, man, different approach, free at the back, I think, different style in defending, different style in pressing, transitioning, playing, but it should get the best out of the players we have. I think that's why they went for him, based on the based on the squad profile, based on the ages, the player sign, the style. He's the one that kind of matches the most up to. And according to a lot of people online, he rejected a bunch of clubs, actually. He rejected a bunch of clubs to join United. So that's a good sign as well. So it seems like he really wanted to join the club. He sees it as a big challenge, but clearly a challenge that he can step up to and do. And yeah, man, I'm eager to see him start. And like I said, I'm eager to see what players he likes, what players he doesn't like, and how that kind of goes on from there, because that's going to be the most interesting part of it. As you can see here, this is the new updated structure of United and how everything's going to be running now, going on with Ineos, which should be getting the best out of the club now going forward. And the good thing is that you'd hope with this structure that even if the, you know, Ruben Amorim appointment doesn't work out, you can quickly change it, get another coach in, without having to spend a bunch of money just to get the club up and running again, because you've got people in charge who are identifying players of a certain profile and then getting the managers to fit and then go from there. So our new structure is as follows. We got Sir Jim Ratcliffe as chairman and CEO. You got Jean-Claude Blanc as CEO of Ineos Sport. You've got Sir David Brailsford, the director of sport. Then underneath Jim Ratcliffe, you've got Omar Barada as CEO. Then you've got Dan Ashworth as sporting director. Then you've got technical director Jason Wilcox. And then you've got Christopher Veal as director of recruitment. And then you've got the coach underneath them. So I guess Ruben Amorim reports to Dan Ashworth, to Wilcox, Dan Ashworth, and Christopher Veal. But there's also a Glazer missing here too. There's also part of the decision process. There's a Glazer also missing, but that's the kind of overall structure and overview. Then we've got some other factoids about Ruben Amorim here to kind of dig into before we progress. Bear with me 1 second here. Bada bing, bada bing, bada boom, as this loads. And I think I'm going to end there and then probably break and then come back for the random show later on tonight. So if you're in need of that, then please bear with me. I'll be back later. So these are some facts about Ruben Amorim. So big up the Twitter account here for posting this. It says, facts I didn't know about Ruben Amorim that you might find interesting. 1, he did a week-long internship at Man United at the start of his coaching career under Jose Mourinho. So that might be his connection with the club. Maybe the reason why he wanted to manage us so badly. Number 2, after losing his first 2 games at his first club, Casa Pia, he announced that he'd quit football. He'd quit if he lost a third game. He then switched up his tactics, birthing the 3-4-3 he's known for, and went on an unbeaten run. Number 3. Also at that time, he didn't have his full coaching badges at Casapia, so eventually they got fined 6 points and he got a 1-year suspension. Even though the ban was lifted shortly after, he resigned in annoyance. Number 4. He became Braha's manager when them at 8th place ended up 3rd with 10 wins in 13 games and won them their first trophy in 4 years. That's very impressive, actually. That's probably the most impressive thing he's done on the list, apart from the Sporting shit. Sporting paid 10 million euros in 2019 to get him, making him the 3rd most expensive manager ever at the time. By 2021, he broke the Benfica Porto dynasty and won them their first league title since 2022. Number 6. He was heavily linked with to be Klopp's successor at Liverpool and was mentioned as a possible option to take over Pep at City. He even flew to London to discuss being West Ham's manager for the season, but refused their offer in the end. Yeah, so he rejected City, Liverpool, and West Ham. God damn. When one of the players, Ricardo Esgaio, came under heavy criticism from the fans, he publicly defended him, saying, "He's not one of the fans' favorite players, but he's one of mine. As long as I'm here, I will protect him as much as possible. He will never be abandoned by the manager, and as long as I'm here, there's nothing you can do to Esgaio." Wow. Okay, that's how a manager you wanna. That's how a manager players are gonna, fight for, are gonna die for, bleed for, put their body on the lines for. Love to see it. Number 8, with Sporting, he has beaten clubs like Dortmund, Frankfurt, Tottenham, and Arsenal in European ties. So yeah. Lot of good stuff there from Ruben Amorim. Love to fucking hear it. So yeah, really excited for his tenure. Really excited to see how this develops, how it goes on. Really curious to see how the clubs respond to him as well, the players, because these players are fucking cunts. A lot of these players, some of these players could have oversized egos. So I'm very curious to see how the players are going to respond to him as well going forward. Very, 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 very curious. And then we've also got what I think is it this one? Is it this article? Okay, cool. I think this one's Sky News. It says yeah, this is it. So I think this talks more about the decision making process. The 39-year-old revealed that he spent 3 days deciding his options and changed his mind several times in the process before eventually agreeing to Man United's move in mid-season. Speaking after Sporting's win against Estrela, Amorim said, "At the beginning of the season, I had a talk with president of Benfica, or Sporting Lisbon, and Hugo Viana, the then Sporting director, and I said that whatever happened, that this would be my last season with Sporting. The president is here, he can confirm that." Oh, so he was due to leave anyway. Wow, what good timing then. Thank God for Erik ten Hag being shit. He was due to leave Sporting anyway end of the season. That's brilliant. The season started. We know that we started very well. Then the Man United situation came and they appeared. They paid above the release clause. I never discussed anything with the president about this bargaining. The only question I made was only to go at the end of the season. So he wanted to see out the season. So that speaks to his character as well. He didn't want to go. He wanted to see out the season and then join us next season. But because we're so shit and we desperately need him, we said, no, please come now. For 3 days, I said I wanted to stay until the end of the season, but I was told it was not possible. I was told it was now or never, or Man United will go for another option. Wow. So Ineos weren't fucking around. Ineos were like, look, we want you, but if you don't take the job, we're going to go somewhere else. This job won't be available again in the next, which makes sense because there is, like I said, there is the option that Ruben would have went on an unbeaten run during the time that they're negotiating. Then the fans want him. Then the pressure is on Ineos to decide, what do we do? Go against the fans and not pick the club legend? Go with this guy who we're not sure about, who also isn't sure on the job? So yeah, a lot of negotiating and trouble out there. Glad that he said yes. I'm glad he said yes. Let's continue. I had 3 days to make the decision. The change is radical in my life, but I had 3 days to make the decision. That's what I did. Yeah, because the scrutiny is going to be insane. He was a well-known manager, don't get me wrong, in football circles, but now managing United, one of the biggest clubs in the world, people are going to be analysing every part of his personal life, over-analysing everything that he says, doesn't say, every action, every, whatever is going to be scrutinised in super hardcore detail. So yeah, his life has completely changed for the better, I think, going forward, because for sure you can imagine his next club after United is going to be another big club as well, so he's going to be fine, especially at his age. I had other opportunities. The president and Viana can confirm this is not the first or second time I was asked by another team. I wanted that one in Manchester. I want that context. That context allows me to do some things my way. It's just like sporting. There's a time when I have to take a step forward, and it's harder for me than for any sporting fan, but I had to do this. Okay, cool. So he basically wants to come because we're shit, and he knows because we're shit, he can do what the fuck he wants because we desperately need help. And also, I'd imagine his competitive side of him wants to test himself in the best league in the world against some of the best managers in the world with some of the best resources, some of the best players. So if you can replicate what you did at Portugal in the Premier League, people are going to be like, okay, cool, you're the real deal, you know? Because it's one thing to do what he did at Braga, what he did at Sporting Lisbon, which is still super impressive, but to replicate that same type of thing here, especially United, we're 14th now. Imagine, I don't believe it's possible, but imagine if there's a possibility he gets us in a top 4, top 3 finish. That's going to be crazy, considering how badly we started the season, considering how badly we ended last season, considering how low we are. To take us from there to 3rd to 4th is going to be crazy. So it's like an opportunity that you probably can never turn down, especially with a manager with his potential. Amorim continued, I mean, let's not go around the bush. There was a club that said if I rejected it now, in 6 months, I wouldn't get it. And I knew that in 6 months, I would leave Sporting. So I did not want to regret not making the decision. I know it's disappointment to Sporting fans and not to take that risk or to wait into the season, and then I wouldn't have the only club I wanted to coach. Ah, see? So that was the only club he wanted to coach of the ones available. He wanted United. Okay, I see. So for Sporting fans, you got to be pissed though. This is your manager who won you your first league title. You probably want to do the double and win other trophies. You got to be pissed, man. You got to be pissed. Because most likely a lot of players will follow too. He's gone. Most likely going to lose some players in January, lose the players again in the summer. So being a Sporting Lisbon fan, I can only imagine how pissed you are. But you can only, you have to respect also the opportunity available, that this doesn't come around too often. Especially when you consider the relationship Man United and Sporting have is really good as well. So yeah, he had to take advantage of it. The president knows about this because I had other offers and I didn't want them before. But this one I did. I did what I did want, so I made my decision. But now I go home more happier because I have explained. People say it's about the money, but there was another team that wanted to hire me before and they paid 3 times more than Manchester. Wow. I wonder what team that is. Probably a team in Saudi Arabia, I'm assuming, right? Or in the Middle East in general. I probably assume. But Jesus Christ. Okay, cool. Good to hear. Good to hear that Indians are coming in and not just throwing around the cash. They're not throwing around the cash willy-nilly on contracts, on transfer fees, or even a manager's wages. This is really good to hear. I'm glad to see this. Hello, why are you comparing Højlund to Gyökeres? Come on, man, allow it. But look at the comparison. 41 goals scored, 11 to Højlund. This is too much. But this is what I hope he does. I hope he comes in and he can improve the levels of Højlund. We obviously know is already good. I think a lot of Milan fans rate Højlund. But I think the one I want to see him develop and give a bit of confidence to is Xerxes. Xerxes is struggling a lot at United at the moment. He looks very down. He doesn't look like he's really with it. Every time he plays for Holland, he goes to international break, he looks fucking phenomenal. But at the moment, he's struggling a lot for United. So I want to see him be able to take someone like a Højlund, put his arm around him, and sort of like get him going. That would be fucking good to see. Because we already know Højlund is going to be good. He's already shown enough evidence of it. But Xerxes at the moment is struggling. So I'm curious to see him do well with him. And even players like Anthony. I want Amorim to come in and figure out, okay, what can we do with Anthony? Is he a wing back? Is he a winger? Do we put him playing? Because I personally have always said I think Anthony gets scummed at United because he receives the ball too far away from goal. He's not fast enough to cover a lot of ground to get from the halfway line to the goal anyway. But I think if you put him closer to the goal and let him receive the ball in and around the box, he can punish teams. He's got quick enough feet. He's got good dribbling. He's got decent acceleration. His shots are pretty decent. I think if you put him in and around the box, he can be of use, or closer to the goal, closer to impact the game. So maybe with different style of play, different formation, we can do that. So let's see. Fingers crossed. It continues. Amorim insisted United will not sign Sporting players, including demand striker Victor Gyökeres. Gyökeres cost 100 million, he said. It's very complicated. I will not take any Sporting players in January. But that's another story. Okay. Maybe not in January, but maybe in the summer. Okay, cool. There's no revolt whatsoever, but they were sad. The players were anxious. They could feel the atmosphere was a little bit different, but I've been with them for 5 years. They have been with me for 5 years. I even talked to them before I signed them. It's part of our characteristics to be this close to the players. They know I'm the coach until Braga, the final game, then I'm leaving. But disappointment, yes. Okay, cool, man. Sporting fans are saying Amorim had Gyökeres to thank for more than just 4 goals tonight. The striker lifted the atmosphere around the place. The Sporting fans felt a little bit better after about life as they left the Jose Alverde Stadium. They have braved the deluge of rain before kickoff to voice their frustrations. Come full time, Amorim disappeared down the tunnel. Okay, cool. Cool, man. I'm honestly, I'm really excited. I can't lie. I'm really excited for this new era. Can't wait to see what happens going forward. And yeah, man, I cannot wait. I really cannot wait to see Wagwan and how it evolves, how it develops going forward. Really am curious to see. Cannot bloody wait. I cannot bloody wait. Anyways, my friends. That is it. That is episode number 834 of the Agostino Zinga Show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Been a pleasure to have your company. If it's your first time tuning into this show, please make sure you smash the like button down below. That'd be greatly appreciated. I'm going to take a quick break now, head to the gym, do what I need to do, come back, and then I'll be doing a random show later on tonight, so keep an eye out for that one. If you are random show fan adjacent, you shall find the links down below in the description for the random show channel, or just check my main channel and you'll see the random show channel there, and you can click it, and I'll be online probably about 11 o'clock. I'll probably put up a stream anyway now, so you can, jump on there if you need be. But if you're watching this particular podcast now live, make sure you like the stream down below. If you're listening to it after the fact on audio via Spotify or Apple Podcasts and stuff, please leave me a 5-star review. That'd be greatly appreciated. Also join my Patreon at patreon.com/Agostino. I've got a Patreon-only Tazs show on there now. There's going to be a Patreon-only random show happening soon too. And also bonus episodes coming out as well about the Joe Rogan special. So make sure you check over there for everything Patreon included. But thank you so much for tuning in for now. I always appreciate it. Never expect it. So thank you for hanging out with me. Today, my tune of the day will be from the one and only Mk.gee, 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 from the obviously one of the best albums of the year, 2-Star and The Dream Police. The track that I'm going to be playing as my tune of the day was going to be track number 8, I Want, from Mk.gee's album 2-Star and The Dream Police. Check it out. I'm sure most of you have. Definitely an album of the year contender for me. One of the best albums to come out in a long time. Let's think of if King Krul and Frank Ocean had a baby, it would be Mk.gee. Absolutely phenomenal music. Absolutely phenomenal guitar music. Definitely recommend you check it out. My track of the day is I Want, playing for all you audio listeners, but for you people listening to the video side, I can't play it because of copyright and blocks and all that malarkey, so it's gonna have to just fade to black. So big up everybody. Appreciate you. Take care and be again. I'll see you again very soon. Take care. Peace.